Somos a Resgatécnica. Atuamos onde cada decisão importa. Entregamos soluções técnicas para resgate, salvamento e emergências, em qualquer cenário. Do acesso seguro em altura ao combate em áreas de difícil acesso. Da proteção respiratória à comunicação em campo. Nossos equipamentos estão prontos. Nosso time também. Com suporte técnico, agilidade e uma missão clara. Garantir que você esteja preparado. Porque quando o tempo é curto, a resposta precisa ser certa. Resgatécnica. Por missão, por vidas.
Muito bom dia a todos e a todas. Eu sou o Rafael Milo, gerente comercial da Resgatécnica. E, sobretudo, primeiramente, nós gostaríamos de agradecer ao convite para que a gente estivesse mais uma vez aqui junto ao Bombeiro do Mato Grosso, em mais um dos eventos da corporação, na qual a gente tem muito carinho e apreço. E, antemão, a gente já parabeniza toda a corporação, todos os bombeiros militares que se envolveram nesse evento, que já passa a fazer parte, sem dúvida alguma, do calendário dos eventos em todo o país, sobretudo em relação ao florestal. Então, eu acredito que, sem dúvida, o ForestFire já faz parte do calendário das atividades que são voltadas à atividade. E nós, da Resgatécnica, somos muito orgulhosos em estar aqui presente. Nossa empresa, ela atua diuturnamente nas atividades voltadas à operacionalidade dos corpos de bombeiro em todo o Brasil. Nosso portfólio, ele é muito amplo e vasto. Nós temos todos os equipamentos relacionados a todas as atividades, seja aquático, altura, florestal, veicular, incêndio urbano. Esse vídeo que nós passamos anteriormente mostra um pouquinho da nossa atividade diária, que é atender os corpos de bombeiro de todo o Brasil, na qual a gente, como eu disse antes, se dedica com muito orgulho diuturnamente. Já que o nosso assunto aqui, nesses 3 dias, são os equipamentos voltados para o incêndio florestal, a nossa palestra de hoje vem trazer um pouquinho desses equipamentos que estão no nosso stand, na qual a gente convida todos vocês para dar uma passada lá, com um pouquinho mais de calma, verificar os equipamentos que são pertinentes à atividade, conversar conosco, porque, sem dúvida alguma, as tecnologias que a gente traz para vocês vão auxiliar em muito, sem sombra de dúvida, esse combate tão difícil, um dos mais puxados da atividade do Corpo de Bombeiro, que é a atividade dos incêndios florestais. Um pouquinho sobre a nossa empresa, a Resgatécnica, como eu disse antes, ela é referência em todo o Brasil no fornecimento e no treinamento e na capacitação de militares, seja em qualquer que seja a missão. As participações nossas nas redes sociais, sem sombra de dúvida, a gente é a empresa que tem mais presença nas redes sociais, sejam aí no Instagram, Facebook, e a gente convida vocês para seguir a nossa empresa, onde a gente demonstra, na capilaridade que a gente tem nas redes sociais, a nossa participação no dia a dia das corporações militares. Então, só no Instagram a gente tem aí quase 22 mil seguidores, fazendo com que a gente, como eu disse e ressalto sempre, tenha a participação em todo o território nacional. As entregas técnicas que a gente faz em todo o Brasil são uma marca registrada da nossa empresa, demonstra o nosso compromisso em não só fornecer equipamentos que são de excelência e qualidade, mas ensinar as boas práticas de manuseio e de utilização dos equipamentos, que, sem sombra de dúvida, aumentam a vida útil dos equipamentos. vários workshops, treinamentos que a gente atua em todo o Brasil, em todas as atividades. Sempre que a gente é chamado e a nossa agenda permite, a gente lá está em loco fazendo parte da atividade de todos vocês. Como eu disse antes, o nosso portfólio ele é muito amplo, atende a todas as atividades operacionais, aquático, altura, veicular, incêndio urbano, incêndio florestal, viaturas de resgate, onde a gente representa no Brasil a Rosenbauer, no veicular a Romatro, na área de respiração a Scott Safety, na parte aquática a Zodiac, a Mares, a Scuba Pro, a OTS, dentre outras grandes marcas que a gente representa de maneira exclusiva no Brasil, fazendo com que esses grandes parceiros e players do mercado de bombeiro, que são líderes do seu segmento, estejam sempre no nosso portfólio. Um dos destaques que está no nosso stand é a bota multimissão Boros 4 da Rosenbauer. O nome dela, como eu disse antes, ela é uma bota multimissão. Por que ela é multimissão? Ela é certificada para todas as atividades operacionais do bombeiro. Então, em um único produto, em uma única bota, o combatente ele a utiliza no incêndio urbano, no resgate terrestre, no incêndio florestal. Como eu disse antes, ela é certificada para todas essas atividades e possibilita que ele não tenha que usar uma bota para cada missão. Então, em um único só produto, em uma só bota, com muito conforto e operacionalidade, essa bota é utilizada para todas as situações. Da mesma maneira, o capacete H10 da Rosenbauer, ele também é um capacete multimissão, assim como a bota, certificada para todas as missões, menos o incêndio urbano, aonde tanto o combatente florestal quanto a atividade de altura, resgate terrestre, etc., os senhores tenham tudo isso reunidos em um único capacete, em uma única solução. As vestimentas da Rosenbauer, que são multimissão, é a mesma pegada, o mesmo sentido, para que os senhores tenham ideia. As vestimentas que o bombeiro do Mato Grosso está utilizando, essa vestimenta laranja com a calça azul escura, ela é uma vestimenta multimissão da Rosenbauer, que pode ser aplicada em todas as atividades, em específico está sendo amplamente utilizada com muito sucesso na atividade do incêndio florestal aqui no Pantanal. Então, ela é muito leve, respirável e tem tido um feedback excelente. A vestimenta que o comandante-geral estava usando e todos os outros oficiais que aqui estavam ontem na apresentação, é uma vestimenta já da Rosenbauer, só que na cor laranja. É exatamente essa que eu falei antes, que é a Garus 10. Um dos nossos destaques também aí do nosso amplo portfólio são os equipamentos da Scott Safety, da linha da 3M. Em específico, a gente tem o X3 Pro, que está registrado em ata da Senasp. É um equipamento de excelente qualidade, top 1 de todo o mercado de bombeiro, que está registrado em ata com cilindro reserva por R$32 mil. É uma compra que, além de ser um cavalo passando arriado, pelo excelente custo-benefício, como eu disse antes, é um equipamento de excelência que, graças a Deus, a gente teve a oportunidade de vencer a licitação e está registrado nessa ata da Senasp. Da mesma maneira, as mochilas costais para incêndio florestal, em 100% gordura 1000, que são flexíveis e dão muito mais mobilidade ao combatente na atividade que é tão pesada e tão sofrida do incêndio florestal, onde a gente sabe que aquela mochila amarela que os senhores ainda utilizam está cada vez mais em desuso. Então, uma das possibilidades também é essa mochila que está registrada também na ata da Senasp a um preço muito acessível. Outro equipamento que também está no nosso stand são as bombas da Rosenbauer, que tem uma vazão excelente, são praticamente ABTs portáteis. Outro grande parceiro que se junta ao nosso portfólio e também está esse ano já no nosso stand, são as bombas Florestais da Alterax, que é um equipamento canadense, referência em todo o mundo. São as bombas mais utilizadas nos Estados Unidos, também está no nosso stand. A gente convida todos vocês para que os senhores visitem a gente e conheçam mais um pouco também sobre essa nova linha de equipamentos. Outro item que a gente já tem registrado na Senasp também são os kits picapes. Talvez seja hoje o equipamento mais efetivo para o combate em campo na atividade florestal. São os kits picapes de 600 e 400 litros. Então, a gente tem essas duas possibilidades. Os kits que a gente fabrica pela própria Resgatécnica, com garantia e acessibilidade total, eles são de polietileno rotomoldado, que fazem com que eles sejam muito mais resistentes e não quebrem como os anteriores de fibra de vidro. Então, a gente tem as duas possibilidades, tanto de 600 litros quanto o de 400. Fica a cargo de cada corporação. Outro grande agente facilitador para as várias e múltiplas missões que os corpos de bombeiro têm em todo o Brasil, dentre elas, sobretudo, a atividade aqui no Pantanal Mato-Grossense, é o veículo Sherp, na qual ele está em exposição na entrada do evento. Todos vocês podem lá visitar, tirar foto, etc. Mas é um veículo que já é do Bombeiro do Mato Grosso. Então, a gente está tendo a alegria e a satisfação de entregá-lo aqui no evento. Ele já, de maneira oficial, está sendo entregue à corporação. Então, andar nele não vai poder, tá, gente? Porque, como eu disse, ele já faz parte aqui do patrimônio do Bombeiro do Mato Grosso, mas é um veículo que com certeza a gente acredita que vai auxiliar e ajudar muito na temporada de incêndios deste ano no Pantanal. Algumas características aí do veículo: ele é totalmente anfíbio e, como eu disse, ele é mais do que um veículo operacional, ele é 100% multimissão para as várias atividades aonde os combatentes não podem ter nenhum tipo de risco à vida. É só isso então, gente, por enquanto. Eu agradeço mais uma vez a todos vocês pela atenção. Estou à disposição, aqui são os nossos contatos. Em nome de toda a nossa equipe da Resgatécnica, a gente agradece o carinho de todo o Brasil conosco. Estamos lá no nosso stand aguardando a todos vocês. Esses equipamentos, esses destaques que eu passei agora, é um pouquinho só do nosso portfólio, já que o papo e o assunto aqui, nesses dias, como eu disse antes, são as atividades e as soluções voltadas para os incêndios florestais. Ok? Muito obrigado a todos e tenhamos um excelente evento.
Nossos agradecimentos especiais ao grande parceiro, grande colaborador, a equipe da Resgatécnica. Nossos agradecimentos especiais então aí ao representante Rafael Milo. Dentro de instantes, a segunda palestra dessa manhã. Lembrando mais uma vez a todos os senhores e as senhoras que simultaneamente as palestras que acontecem aqui no Espaço Amazônia, está acontecendo neste momento também palestras no Espaço Cerrado, no piso superior, e também no Espaço Pantanal temos mini cursos. Então fiquem atentos à programação, tá? Nesse momento, simultaneamente aqui com as palestras acontecendo aqui na plenária principal no Espaço Amazônia, temos também no Espaço Cerrado rolando palestras e lá no Espaço Pantanal também nós temos mini cursos. Então muita coisa para que todos os senhores aproveitem o primeiro Congresso Internacional da Gestão de Incêndios Florestais. E mais uma vez eu peço aos senhores e às senhoras a atenção quanto à venda antecipada do almoço. Tá? A venda antecipada do almoço acontece até às 10 horas da manhã. Então procurem aí a equipe do buffet, identificada aí, nós temos ali o caixa volante, né? O nosso caixa volante, aquela menina bonita que está por aí circulando entre os senhores, para poder fazer o atendimento. Desta maneira, os senhores evitam filas, tá certo? Já compra, então faça a sua compra antecipada. Lembrando mais uma vez a todas os senhores e as senhoras que teremos o segundo dia de Happy Hour lá no Espaço Florestal. Teve gente que perdeu, foi embora mais cedo, perdeu o brinde, né? Muita coisa boa rolou ontem no Espaço Florestal, que rolou também aí o primeiro encontro dos combatentes florestais do Brasil. Então hoje já estou aqui salientando, toda hora avisando para que os senhores e as senhoras não percam esse momento de interação, de confraternização. Senhores, bater papo, né, conhecer as pessoas de vários estados que estão por aqui, também de outros países que estão participando conosco. Então, esse é um momento especial, preparado com muito carinho para todos os senhores e as senhoras. A partir das 18 horas, no Espaço Florestal, o momento lá de Happy Hour, para descontração, é aquele momento de relaxamento, um ambiente preparado com muito carinho para todos nós desfrutarmos aí, também que a vida não é só trabalho, né? Lembrando que nós temos comidas, temos aí a IMAC, o Instituto Mato Grossense de Carnes, com a melhor carne do Brasil, o melhor churrasco do Brasil e aquele chopp bem gelado da cervejaria Louvada. Então não perca, a partir das 18 horas, no Espaço Florestal. Então, seguindo a programação, daremos início à palestra intitulada A Atuação da AGIF, Gestão Integrada de Fogos Rurais em Portugal, que será ministrada pelo senhor Antônio Salgueiro, adjunto de Processos de Melhoria Contínua da AGIF. Convidamos, nesse momento, o coronel Sandro Machado Amorim, do Corpo de Bombeiros Militar do Maranhão, para ser o moderador desta palestra.
Senhoras e senhores, bom dia. Currículo do senhor Antônio Salgueiro, tá? Engenheiro florestal, é adjunto do Conselho Diretivo da Agência de Gestão Integrada de Focos Rurais, responsável por melhoria contínua, qualificação e lições aprendidas no Sistema de Gestão Integrada de Focos Rurais. Atuou nas comissões técnicas independentes que analisaram os megas incêndios de 2017 e tem ampla experiência em uso de fogo, gestão florestal, projetos europeus e cooperação internacional. Cofundador da Gestão Integrada de Focos Rurais e também formador e professor convidado em proteção florestal.
Senhoras e senhores, com a palavra, o senhor Antônio Salgueiro.
Bom dia a todos. Antes de mais nada, muito obrigado pelo convite para estar aqui presente, pelo Governo do Mato Grosso do Sul e pelo Corpo de Bombeiros Militares do Mato Grosso. Desculpem, não do Sul, mas o Mato Grosso só. Pronto, vamos falar um bocadinho do Sistema de Gestão Integrada de Fogos. A primeira coisa, quando falamos de integração, é compreender todo o processo. O fogo é um elemento natural, como são os outros três, a água, a terra e o ar. E não pensamos viver sem água, nem terra, nem ar, e como tal é utópico pensarmos viver sem fogo. E portanto é disso também que temos que pensar, é isso que temos que ver quando falamos de fogo. Um pequeno enquadramento de Portugal. Porque é que Portugal tem tanto fogo? Tem um clima mediterrâneo, é um clima particular que não existe em muitas regiões do mundo. Vemos aqui, desculpa, é este aqui, vemos amarelo as poucas regiões do mundo em que tem esta particularidade da época mais quente do ano coincidir com a época mais seca. E, simultaneamente, temos também bastante influência atlântica e que nos dá, sobretudo no centro e no norte do país, uma elevada precipitação e, portanto, uma produtividade primária elevada. Ou seja, temos um grande desenvolvimento da vegetação natural, associado depois a um período do ano muito seco, onde temos as temperaturas mais elevadas. Isto é, só aqui vemos o gráfico das temperaturas, o gráfico das precipitações, e esta é uma das zonas de maior precipitação do país. E, portanto, isto acabou por moldar aquilo que temos e que é o fogo era fácil de utilizar nesta época mais seca e mais quente e, portanto, o homem, durante milhares de anos, usou esse fogo para moldar os territórios, para a pastorícia em particular, para a agricultura e, portanto, tudo isto levou a que tenhamos espécies muito bem adaptadas ao fogo, espécies pirófitas, espécies que promovem o fogo para se autorregenerarem, para se dominarem sobre outras espécies. Fizemos um estudo sobre o regime de fogo em Portugal para perceber as causas e as causas são de facto o fundamento de tudo. A grande maioria das causas de fogo são provocadas pelo homem, como vemos ali. Temos ali, portanto, temos uma médica histórica de muitas ignições para a dimensão do país. Relativamente à dimensão do país, somos o país com maior, um dos países com maior incidência de fogo do mundo, do planeta Terra, e, portanto, interessa-nos perceber as causas. Temos aqui uma proporção muito grande de incêndios provocados por queimas e queimadas, quase 2/3, o que significa uma predisposição, uma vontade das pessoas usarem o fogo para diversos objetivos. Apesar de, frequentemente, ser referidas as causas intencionais para provocar prejuízo, o incendiarismo, estas causas são muito importantes, claro, mas são menos importantes que as causas para a gestão de território com o uso de fogo. E, portanto, temos associado ao centro e ao norte do país, fundamentalmente, um histórico de fogo, um regime de fogo associado às queimadas de pastorícia, aos grandes incêndios florestais mais no centro do país e depois nas áreas mais urbanas, pequenos fogos de pequena dimensão que começam efetivamente, frequentemente, na interface entre a parte urbana e a parte florestal, e já vamos ver o peso que isso tem em Portugal. E depois são os incêndios que estamos a ter neste momento em Portugal, sobretudo incêndios agrícolas nas regiões sul do país, no Alentejo, onde temos as grandes propriedades. Em termos de propriedade, Portugal é muito dividido no norte e no centro, com minifúndio, e aqui com grandes propriedades agrárias. Para se ter uma ideia da grande questão em Portugal, que significam os incêndios de interface urbano-florestal, isto é, uma delimitação daquilo que é uns 100 metros na envolvente de aglomerados. E, portanto, vemos, é claro que está numa escala, esta é só o centro e o norte, mas para termos uma ideia do impacto que têm os incêndios nesta interface urbano-florestal, onde muitas vezes, e para vocês bombeiros, têm que decidir entre o que é prioritário é defender a vida das pessoas, é parar o incêndio florestal. E esta é uma das grandes questões que se põe nos nossos territórios. E depois, o que é que provoca frequentemente a mudança? São as catástrofes. E hoje faz precisamente 8 anos de uma grande catástrofe que tivemos em Portugal, uma das maiores que tivemos nos últimos séculos, provocadas por incêndios florestais. E, portanto, no mesmo ano não tivemos uma, mas tivemos duas. Tivemos uma que é tal, o incêndio de Pedrógão Grande, que fazem hoje 8 anos com muitas fatalidades, e passados 4 meses voltamos a ter. E, portanto, tudo isto provocou um impacto muito grande e a necessidade de olharmos para o problema de forma ainda mais séria. Não é que não se fizesse nada antes, vinha-se a tentar fazer muita coisa, mas obrigou a olhar para o problema ainda de forma mais séria, avaliando uma gravidade, um risco que estava acima daquilo que tínhamos visto até essa data. E, portanto, a catástrofe na origem da mudança. O incêndio de Pedrógão teve, de facto, e para vocês que trabalham, a maioria de vocês com incêndios, teve comportamento de fogo como nunca tínhamos visto em Portugal. E vemos velocidades de propagação quase 4 km por hora, intensidades frontais até 60 mil kW, taxas de expansão de 3.500 hectares hora, formação de pirocúmulos, deslocação da pluma do incêndio que atingiu 13 km. Para termos uma ideia, quando andamos num avião de longo curso, eles voam frequentemente a cerca de 8.000 metros. E, portanto, este pirocúmulo foi até à troposfera. Normalmente, nós trabalhamos em incêndios, quando o pirocúmulo sobe, aquilo que achamos é que ele se vai desfazer em altitude e vai se dissipar sem grande problema. Este não fez isto, esta aqui dissipou-se na superfície. Portanto, tínhamos uma coluna enorme de 13 km de altura, que de repente perdeu energia alimentada pela energia de fogo, inclinou-se e projetou fogo a toda a volta. Portanto, o verdadeiro inferno que provocou 48 fatalidades numa extensão de 11 km e em 10 minutos. Velocidades de propagação instantâneas que chegaram a atingir os 15 km por hora neste downburst, nesta queda da pluma. E, portanto, foi a primeira vez que se registrou um fenómeno deste em Portugal e na Europa, não só em Portugal. E isto, depois, com os incêndios de outubro, o total, cerca de 114, 116, as contas diferem um bocadinho, 500 empresas afetadas, 50 mil hectares que arderam em 3 dias, mais 225 mil em 3 dias em outubro. E, só para ter uma ideia, 5 maiores incêndios registados, cada um deles com área maior de 35 mil hectares. Portanto, foi verdadeiramente um ano terrível para Portugal naquilo que diz respeito aos incêndios florestais. E isto levou a que politicamente se decidisse nomear primeiro uma comissão técnica para o incêndio de Pedrógão, que estava a finalizar os seus trabalhos quando acontecem os incêndios de outubro do furacão Ofélia e, portanto, é pedido também para continuação. O Sr. Professor Xavier Viegas também fez um trabalho relacionado com estes incêndios, do qual referiu ontem, e, portanto, há uma série, houve pela primeira vez, diria, em Portugal, relativamente aos fogos e aos incêndios, há uma unanimidade na aceitação das propostas destas comissões técnicas. E, de facto, isto só é possível, ou, infelizmente, acontece quando está associado a uma catástrofe que assusta toda a gente e, portanto, que provoca essa mudança. E o primeiro princípio é a adoção de um sistema de gestão integrada de fogos rurais. É claro que isto é o princípio, nós planeamos, mas depois o mais importante não é planear, é executar, e a execução leva anos. E é neste caminho que estamos neste momento. Portanto, alguns dos princípios, a governança, o conhecimento, que é importantíssimo. Eu mais à frente vou falar nisso, mas aproveitaria já para enquadrar um bocadinho. Eu gosto bastante de dividir os fogos em 3 setores. O fogo controlado, que é planeado e executado por nós, nas condições, com as técnicas e com a condução que lhe queremos dar. Os incêndios de comportamento normal, em qualquer um de nós, com formação, com os meios adequados e com alguma estratégia, tem capacidade de intervir. Nós em Portugal temos uma capacidade enorme neste momento de resolver com relativa facilidade e de forma rápida a grande maioria dos incêndios, diria 98% dos incêndios resolvemos sem preocupações de nível nacional, resolvem-se localmente, mas temos depois as situações extremas onde o conhecimento e a antecipação, a capacidade de antecipação que vem pelo conhecimento, por conhecer o histórico, conhecer o território, conhecer as condições, são fundamentais para atuarmos. E, portanto, a gestão, valorização do território, num sistema de minifúndio é sempre muito difícil. A antecipação do risco, que tem a ver também com esse conhecimento, prevenção estratégica, ou seja, a prevenção feita com a maior eficiência de recursos possível, direcionada para aquilo que pode funcionar. Isto é a lei do menor esforço, o mínimo de prevenção para o máximo de eficiência na sustentação do fogo, na contenção do fogo. E, num ciclo, no meio disto tudo, de facto, a gestão integrada dos fogos rurais. Portanto, ele assenta nos 2 eixos fundamentais, relacionado com aquele mapa que mostrei das interfaces, a questão da gestão dos fogos rurais e a questão da proteção contra incêndios. E porque é que se cria esta divisão, que é uma divisão não completamente compartimentada? Porque a tendência, como é normal de todos os bombeiros, de todos os combatentes, é quando há vidas em risco, quando há património construído em risco, é puxarmos-nos todos para a defesa dessa prioridade. Só que não o podemos fazer, porque quando o fazemos, o que acontece é que temos mais fogo fora desse espaço de interface, fora do espaço rural. E, portanto, temos que ir gerindo aqui aquilo que priorizamos em cada momento. Além de termos também momentos em que temos capacidade para intervir no fogo e momentos em que, efetivamente, ele ultrapassa toda a nossa capacidade e só podemos intervir na proteção das pessoas. E temos que ir gerindo esta dualidade. E, portanto, aqui nós temos em Portugal várias entidades que trabalham na área dos fogos rurais. Foi criada a Agência de Gestão Integrada de Fogos Rurais não tem nenhum poder de decisão sobre nenhuma destas entidades, foi criada ao nível do Primeiro-Ministro, neste momento está ao nível do Ministro da Agricultura, para puxar a colaboração e a integração entre as diversas entidades, não para comandar, não é essa a função. E, portanto, a interação entre as fases da cadeia de processos, todas estas, isto são as fases que identificamos da cadeia de processos dos incêndios, sustentadas, ligadas pela governança, pela qualificação e pelos sistemas de informação e comunicação. Elaborou-se o Plano Nacional de Gestão Integrada de Fogos Rurais, está em curso, 2020-2030, o Programa Nacional de Ação, programas regionais, subregionais e municipais de intervenção e o Plano Nacional de Qualificação dos agentes do Sistema de Gestão Integrada, de todos nós que trabalhamos nos incêndios. Principal inovação deste plano de qualificação é, efetivamente, nós temos muita formação profissional credenciada para os incêndios rurais, não temos formação credenciada de nível superior, de nível estratégico, que ainda ontem víamos aqui numa apresentação, e, portanto, o grande esforço neste momento é criar formação de nível superior, nível estratégico, daqueles que tomam as grandes decisões políticas e estratégicas. Foram várias comissões que estão a funcionar, Comissão Nacional de Comunicação, da Qualificação e a Comissão Nacional de Lições Aprendidas, que identifica e desenvolve propostas de melhoria do sistema. Portanto, equilibrar investimentos entre a prevenção e combate foi um dos grandes objetivos. Portugal melhorou as medidas preventivas na sequência dos grandes incêndios. O relatório de atividades de 2023 revela que o investimento na prevenção já excede o do combate e a própria União Europeia, num relatório publicado há poucos dias, refere, Tribunal de Contas, o exemplo de Portugal, porque o valor gasto na prevenção subiu de 20% em 2017 para 61% em 2022. E, portanto, há aqui um equilíbrio muito maior entre aquilo que é investido hoje em prevenção e que é investido no combate. E nunca nos esqueçamos, eu comecei por dizer que o fogo faz parte destes ecossistemas, é completamente utópico partir do princípio que vamos deixar de o ter e, portanto, se ele existe, a prevenção é feita para apoio ao combate, sobretudo para isso. Portanto, a prevenção só por si não é suficiente, temos que ter prevenção, temos que ter combate, temos que ter a ligação entre estas duas componentes. O sistema, os resultados onde estamos hoje, de facto, temos a taxa de ignição em dias críticos, que são aqueles tais que eu dizia há bocado, que são os que nos têm que preocupar sobremaneira. Com mais caminhões, mais aviões, mais meios humanos, conseguimos controlar os incêndios com comportamento normal. São os incêndios acima destas classes que nos preocupam porque têm comportamento excepcional. E, portanto, aí, de facto, baixamos bastante o número de ocorrências em dias críticos, baixamos bastante a área ardida para cerca de 1/3 daquilo que estava antes de 2017. E temos a alteração de comportamentos, porque tudo isto foi muito graças à alteração de comportamentos. Aquilo que ali está, de termos muito menos ocorrências, passamos de cerca de 20.000 ocorrências por ano para cerca de 7.000 ocorrências por ano e, sobretudo, esta diminuição nos dias críticos. E, portanto, o uso de fogo pelo homem, o uso premeditado, foi a causa que mais baixou. O incendiarismo tem uma descida menos acentuada, como é normal. Aqueles que querem fazer mal com o fogo vão escolher os dias piores para o fazer. E na maquinaria temos ainda, não conseguimos ainda esta redução que esperemos, estamos a trabalhar no sentido de conseguir. Portanto, temos, eu vou passar isto rapidamente, portanto, isto é a preferência, digamos, das diferentes causas em função do nível de perigo meteorológico, do Fire Weather Index, do índice de comportamento meteorológico de fogo, e temos que aqui nas máquinas já acontecia, quando tínhamos as classes de perigo mais elevadas, continua a acontecer. No incendiarismo, igual, não houve praticamente alterações. Na negligência, normal também, as negligências, ninguém quer provocar fogo, ele acaba por acontecer por uma causa inadvertida, mas temos esta mudança de comportamento daqueles que faziam fogo para renovação de pastagens, para renovação de alimento para os animais, que melhoraram bastante o seu comportamento ao ter uma incidência muito mais baixa de ocorrências nos dias de maior perigo de incêndio. E, portanto, vamos continuar a trabalhar para que este comportamento se mantenha e para que isto aconteça temos que trabalhar cada vez mais com estas pessoas. E, portanto, uma das grandes mudanças que aconteceu foi uma plataforma que foi criada pelo Instituto de Conservação da Natureza e das Florestas, de registro simplificado, muito simplificado, e resposta automática da autorização de queimas e queimadas. Eu, cidadão, registro-me, ponho as minhas credenciais, registro na plataforma que pretendo fazer um fogo em determinado dia, a uma distância muito curta, há 3 dias, em determinado local, e a plataforma dá-me uma resposta automática dizendo, informando-me se tenho condições, em termos de meteorologia e de perigo de incêndio, ou se não tenho condições para fazer. É depois que é validada oficialmente. E isto mudou muito o comportamento das pessoas. Foi um passo importante. Mas temos melhorias, efetivamente, melhoramos, mas o fogo teremos-lo sempre. E, portanto, continuamos a ter mega incêndios em situações meteorológicas extremas. Apesar daqueles gráficos anteriores de uma perspectiva positiva de melhoria, 2018 tivemos um incêndio com 26.000 hectares, 2019 um com 9.000, 14.000 e lá está. Onde é que eles aconteceram? Aconteceram nos dias em que não queremos ter fogo de maneira nenhuma. Nos dias em que não o podemos ter, mas sabemos que o vamos continuar a ter. E isto é que é o nosso esforço, tem que ser concentrado nestas situações, nos comportamentos, na nossa capacidade de intervir e, acima de tudo, de antecipar. E, portanto, isto são algumas imagens para situar um bocadinho. Isto é um território ao sul do país, relativamente próximo do mar, vejam o estado em que ficou, isto é eucaliptal, isto era vegetação natural. Temos muita discussão em Portugal sobre as espécies exóticas que foram introduzidas, o eucalipto que provoca grandes incêndios, as espécies naturais que não provocam grandes incêndios. Tudo isto é falso. O eucalipto é uma espécie que vem de um ecossistema de fogo da Austrália. As nossas espécies são espécies de ecossistema de fogo mediterrâneo e, portanto, todas elas, quando têm condições para arder, alimentam o fogo. E, portanto, isto é eucaliptal gerido, arde menos que território onde não houve gestão de combustíveis, e isto era tudo floresta natural que não ardia há cerca de 30 anos, que ficou neste estado numa condição extrema. E isto é uma imagem da nossa espécie emblemática do país, o sobreiro, o quercus-suber, que é só a espécie mais resistente ao fogo que temos. E eu tenho pena de não ter ido a este sítio passado um ano, porque esta espécie, esta árvore com esta idade que tem, provavelmente estava toda verde, porque a cortiça é exatamente o mecanismo de proteção contra o fogo, protege os gomos e, passado um ano, estas árvores, se não forem muito velhas, regeneram completamente. Ou seja, o fogo é destruição, mas também é renascer das cinzas, também é renovação. E, portanto, isto é, na questão da antecipação que eu dizia há bocadinho, isto que temos aqui a verde são o índice de comportamento de fogo esperado ou registado neste território durante este período. Isto é o comportamento de um incêndio que acompanha exatamente o índice de comportamento de fogo. Parece matemático, mas é aquilo que efetivamente acontece. E, portanto, nós nestes momentos temos que priorizar, não temos capacidade, isto é uma linha teórica do limite da capacidade de extinção. É claro que isto é em termos absolutos, em termos relativos tem uma variação muito grande, mas de uma forma muito genérica, aqui, quando não temos capacidade de extinção, temos que proteger pessoas e património construído, que é para concentrar todos os esforços onde temos capacidade de extinção. Portanto, isto é racionalização, mais uma vez, é a lei da inteligência do menor esforço. Isto é só uma imagem sobre os grandes incêndios europeus e portugueses dos últimos anos, em que todos eles ultrapassam a capacidade de extinção por mais meios que tenhamos. E muitos, no incêndio de Pedrógão, em vez de ter 70 aviões ou 7 aviões, se tivéssemos 70, o efeito teria sido exatamente o mesmo, exceto se fosse na fase inicial. É outra coisa que temos que perceber, é que com o índice de comportamento de fogo extremo, temos muito pouco tempo para conseguir atuar em ataque inicial. Às vezes temos 15 minutos, a partir daí perdemos o controle, que pode durar dias. E esta perspectiva dos dias extremos, infelizmente, a tendência é agravar-se e é agravar-se em todo o mundo. Isto é retirado de um trabalho, a preto tínhamos aquilo que seria a tendência esperada e depois temos aqui a vermelho o que aconteceu nos últimos anos em vários territórios, Estados Unidos da América, o lado Pacífico, e portanto com muito mais dias de meteorologia extrema do que aquilo que seria a tendência normal. E temos muitos outros territórios, a nossa bacia mediterrânica também, ou seja, temos um aumento, a tendência anual para aumentar o número de dias de comportamento extremo de fogo. E, portanto, face a isto, soluções radicais ou adaptativas integradas. Podemos deixar de ter fogo? Não. Portanto, nos ecossistemas em que este fogo está normalmente presente, temos, como nas regiões mediterrânicas ou nas vossas savanas herbáceas do Pantanal, que criar mosaicos com a utilização de fogos de reduzida intensidade, que promovem excelentes condições para diferentes habitats de plantas e animais adaptados ao fogo e são extremamente úteis no apoio à contenção de fogos cuja intensidade de extensão ultrapassa a capacidade de extinção. Porque quando trabalhamos com fogo, trabalhamos em grande dimensão. Trabalhamos como se trabalha nos Estados Unidos, na Austrália, à escala da paisagem. E para estes incêndios de comportamento extremo, só com intervenções de escala de paisagem é que conseguimos efetivamente ter êxito. E, portanto, temos que alterar comportamentos, como já dizia há bocado, eliminar ignições em dias meteorológicos extremos, implementar mecanismos que promovam o uso racional do fogo, não é o uso do fogo do cur, sensibilização, informação, fogo controlado, apoio à realização de queimadas, aplicar estratégias de gestão, atuação em função das prioridades de proteção e de supressão. O território não é todo igual, não tem toda a mesma suscetibilidade e temos que ter as nossas intervenções em função das prioridades de proteção e essas temos que fazer tudo para proteger aquilo que não tem capacidade de resistir ao fogo e podemos, simultaneamente, ter menos acuidade, menos investimento naqueles que estão adaptados. E, portanto, temos, no entanto, estas rápidas mudanças e novas realidades, aumento da imprevisibilidade meteorológica, alterações climáticas e nos hábitos das populações, não acompanhadas pela capacidade de compreensão e de reação das populações locais. Eu estive no Mato Grosso do Sul, o ano passado, a falar com populações indígenas e outras, e, de facto, as pessoas dizem-me que estão chocadas com a velocidade a que as coisas estão a mudar, que faziam fogo há meia dúzia de anos em junho e tudo corria bem, e agora fazem uma ignição em junho e tudo corre mal porque o fogo nunca mais para. E, portanto, isto é demasiado rápido para a percepção popular ter capacidade de absorver. E, portanto, temos que intervir de outra maneira, portanto, temos que estas práticas tradicionais de fogo têm que ser atualizadas, complementadas por ações de fogo realizadas ou com apoio de profissionais do fogo. Temos que ser nós a ir ao encontro destas populações locais e a ajudá-las a trazer outra vez o fogo para o seu bom momento, para não estar nos maus momentos. Implica uma maior aproximação e diálogo entre profissionais de fogo e populações locais, através da realização de campanhas de informação e colaboração com os que usam o território e o fogo. São estes que dominam os territórios, são aqueles que os usam. Isto é um esquema muito interessante do paradoxo de fogo, que é um bocadinho, ou temos maus fogos, ou temos fogos benéficos, porque o uso de fogo irá continuar, não tenhamos dúvidas. E, portanto, a perspectiva, uma outra perspectiva também que temos e que temos que mudar, nós profissionais da floresta e do fogo. Temos tendência, muito agarrados pela comunicação social, que adora o catastrofismo, ou nós adoramos o catastrofismo e ela serve-nos aquilo que nós queremos. Também podemos pensar que é assim, porque se calhar é essa a realidade. E, portanto, quando falamos de estatística, contabilizamos a área ardida e comparamos com épocas precedentes. Se calhar tinham muito mais fogo e muito menos incêndios, ou se calhar com muito menos registros estatísticos. Quando vemos gráficos de tempos muito longos, nós temos uma percepção, temos algumas formas de ir ao histórico do fogo do início do século XX, mas não tinham as mesmas ferramentas que temos hoje para determinar ao metro quadrado aquilo que arde na superfície terrestre. Será que não se deve ter cada vez menos em consideração as áreas queimadas em termos absolutos e contabilizar separadamente em função da sustentabilidade deste sistema, dos diferentes ecossistemas? Por exemplo, no Pantanal, não será relativamente desprezível em termos de impactos a área percorrida pelo fogo nos espaços dominados por vegetação herbácea, Pantanal puro, quando comparados com a afetação de áreas arborizadas onde provocam mortalidades extremas. São reflexões que temos que fazer e temos que ser nós a mudar esta perspectiva. Temos a separação clara entre áreas em que o fogo tem balanço positivo e que é fundamental defender, as áreas suscetíveis, ajuda a concentrar esforços, adaptando e priorizando intervenções e racionalizando investimentos. Esta é uma imagem de incêndio no Pantanal, muito pouco impacto, muito pouca severidade, não consumiu matéria orgânica, o nível das árvores mantém-se copa, alguma copa de secada, muito diferente deste outro, em que vemos já uma mortalidade anterior provocada por um incêndio, que agora é reforçada pela passagem de um novo incêndio e, portanto, no primeiro slide, o impacto, diria, pode ser quase considerado ou considerado negativo pela renovação que implica. Neste segundo, no mesmo território, floresta de cerrado, que é resistente ao fogo, mas que nestas condições de fogo intenso não tem resistência nenhuma e, portanto, a perspectiva é o fogo entrando várias vezes, repetidamente, neste ecossistema, perdermos este ecossistema. As galerias ripícolas também. Portanto, é evidente a necessidade de uma abordagem integrada do fogo que tenha em consideração as alterações climáticas, as causas e objetivos da utilização do fogo. E, de facto, o Pantanal, daquilo por onde olhei até hoje, é o território onde senti uma mais rápida e mais forte mudança de realidade. O Pantanal é a maior zona, uma das maiores zonas úmidas da Terra. Mas quando olhamos, isto é um espaço de tempo muito curto, de 1990 para 2024, todos os níveis registados na régua de Ladário do Rio Paraguai, que é o que provoca, um dos que provoca as grandes inundações do Pantanal, descem drasticamente todos os anos. E isso é assustador. A sensação com que ficamos é que, se isto continuar, o Pantanal de zona mais úmida passará a zona mais seca, rapidamente. E, portanto, isto é de facto extremamente preocupante. Isto é o nível da superfície inundada do Pantanal entre 1985 e 2021. E ela passa praticamente para um quarto. E era, de facto, a grande limitação à propagação dos incêndios que as pessoas, que os habitantes, que os utilizadores do Pantanal utilizavam, eram estas superfícies de água que estão a desaparecer a um ritmo assustador. Portanto, face à elevada incidência de causas humanas, apagar simplesmente os fogos sem perceber e resolver as suas causas aumenta as probabilidades de voltarem a acontecer e em piores condições. Em Portugal, quando proibimos o uso do fogo para as queimas de renovação de pastagens, o que aconteceu foi que quem as fazia no bom momento do ano passou a fazê-las no mau momento do ano. E, portanto, temos que ter uma aproximação completamente diferente, não é pela proibição, pelas dificuldades administrativas que podemos encontrar a solução, é pela aproximação. Um grande passo foi feito no Brasil. O Presidente do Brasil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, promulgou em finais de julho de 2024 o diploma que institui a Política Nacional de Manejo Integrado de Fogo, que estabelece diretrizes para o uso controlado de fogo no Brasil, que será um enorme passo para a gestão racional do fogo e a mitigação dos efeitos nefastos. Mas é só um diploma. A seguir, temos procedimentos, temos que trabalhar e é por aí que se pode chegar a alguma coisa. Obrigado a todos, ao vosso dispor.
Agradecemos aí ao palestrante Antônio Salgueiro por compartilhar seu conhecimento e contribuir com o fortalecimento da gestão de incêndios florestais. Em nome do Corpo de Bombeiros Militar do Estado de Mato Grosso, convidamos o palestrante a receber uma lembrança como forma de reconhecimento e agradecimento pela participação. Convidamos então o senhor coronel para poder fazer a entrega ao nosso palestrante. Faz a entrega então aí o coronel Sandro Machado Amorim, do Corpo de Bombeiros Militar do Maranhão, nosso moderador. Uma informação a todos os senhores e senhoras: estão expostos ali no lounge de entrada, no saguão principal, ali na recepção. Temos ali alguns trabalhos acadêmicos dos alunos aí da pós-graduação. E eu peço a todos para que conheçam, apreciem os alunos da pós-graduação Lato Senso em Gestão de Incêndios Florestais do CBM-MT, estarão ali para um bate-papo, troca de ideias, tirar dúvidas, tá certo? Então ali na recepção temos ali expostos vários trabalhos acadêmicos. Eu peço aos senhores a atenção para que possam apreciar, conhecer e também bater papo e tirar dúvidas com os nossos acadêmicos ali de gestão em incêndio florestal. Faremos então, nesse momento, um intervalo de 10 minutos e retornaremos aqui para a plenária principal.
but
it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. But the fire gives warm, familiar light. We all got our torch to burn, and this here's mine. Oh, and this won't be what you wanna hear, but I'd rather live in pain than live in fear. Swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. Oh, take me away. I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself. I've got a secret I should tell. I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself. My body's warring with itself. In your mind, birdsong fills the air. In your mind, birdsong fills the air. In mine, the flames lay branches bare. In mine, the flames lay branches. Swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. No sense in trying to take control. I've been this way since 8 years old. I swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. But the fire gives warm, familiar light. We all got our torch to burn, and this here's mine. Oh, and this won't be what you wanna hear, but I'd rather live in pain than live in fear. Swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself. In your mind, birdsong fills the air. In mine, the flames lay branches bare. Swore and get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. No sense in trying to take control. I've been this way since 8 years old. I swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. But the fire gives warm, familiar light. We all got our torch to burn, and this here's mine. Oh, and this won't be what you wanna hear, but I'd rather live in pain than live in fear. Swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. Oh, take me away. I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself. I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself. In your mind, birdsong fills the air. In mine, the flames lay branches bare. Swore and get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. No got our torch to burn, and this here's mine. Oh, and this won't be what you wanna hear, but I'd rather live in pain than live in fear. Swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, no escaping. So don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. Oh, take me away. I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself. I've got a secret I should tell. I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself. My body's warring with itself. In your mind, birdsong fills the air. In your mind, birdsong fills the air. In mine, the flames lay branches bare. In mine, the flames lay branches. Swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, no escaping. So don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. No sense in trying to take control. I've been this way since 8 years old. I swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, no escaping. So don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. But the fire gives warm, familiar light. We all got our torch to burn, and this here's mine. Oh, and this won't be what you wanna hear, but I'd rather live in pain than live in fear. Swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, no escaping. So don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. Oh, take me away. I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself. I've I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself. In your mind, birdsong fills the air. In mine, the flames lay branches bare. Swore and get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. No sense in trying to take control. I've been this way since 8 years old. I swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. But the fire gives warm, familiar light. We all got our torch to burn, and this here's mine. Oh, and this won't be what you wanna hear, but I'd rather live in pain than live in fear. Swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay up for my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. Oh, take me away. I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself. I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring.
Senhoras e senhores, vamos retornando devagarinho à plenária, ao espaço Amazônia. Para dentro de instantes,
Mind birdsong
darmos início à próxima palestra.
in mine, the flames lay branches bare. Swore and get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, so don't stay
Retornando então à plenária principal, o Espaço Amazônia, para dentro de instantes iniciarmos a próxima palestra. Lembrando mais uma vez a todos os senhores e as senhoras que a partir das 18 horas teremos aquele momento de descontração, de confraternização no Espaço Florestal. O nosso segundo dia de happy hour, com muita música boa, comida e aquele chopp bem gelado da cervejaria Louvada.
Torch to burn, and this here's mine. Oh, and this won't be what you wanna hear, but I'd rather live in pain than live in fear. Swore it'd get better, but it won't get. Hate to be bitter, but it's baked in. Changing the weather won't change it. No escaping, no escaping. So don't stay up on my sake. Let this forest fire take me away. Oh, take me away. I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself. I've got a secret I should tell. I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself.
Senhoras e senhores, então peço a gentileza para que retornem aos seus lugares, tomem os seus assentos.
Song fills the air. In mind the flames lay branches bare.
Lembrando mais uma vez sobre o Espaço Florestal, aquele momento gostoso que começou ontem, o primeiro encontro dos combatentes florestais do Brasil, pessoal lá reunido, confraternizando. Lembrando que muita gente ontem ficou sem faturar os prêmios, por conta de que foram embora mais cedo. Então hoje não esqueçam, através do seu crachá, passar lá pelo túnel, bipar, para poder concorrer a muitos prêmios aí. Então são prêmios de grande monta, daquele quilate, como vocês viram aí nos nossos estandes, equipamentos, EPIs. Então são muitas coisas boas, como brindes, como prêmios para vocês que irão participar aí do momento lá de happy hour. Lembrando também que nós temos lá no Espaço Florestal, temos lá um painel eletrônico para que você possa responder ao quiz lá e faturar prêmios. Tem também lá uma roleta lá para você girar e tentar a sorte. Tem muita coisa boa. Então, a partir das 18 horas, não esqueçam, no Espaço Florestal, primeiro encontro dos combatentes florestais do Brasil. Um ambiente de descontração e confraternização. Senhoras e senhores, seguindo a programação, daremos início à palestra intitulada Gestão de Incêndios Florestais na Califórnia, Estados Unidos, que será ministrada pelos senhores Nathan Berkeley e Daniel Berlen, Confira. Convidamos nesse momento o coronel bombeiro militar do estado do Pará, Pablo Cruz de Oliveira, para ser o moderador desta palestra.
Bom dia ao público, saudações amazônicas. Vamos fazer a leitura do currículo dos palestrantes. O senhor Nathan Berkeley, chefe do Cal Fire com mais de 20 anos de experiência, atualmente é diretor adjunto de proteção contra incêndios cooperativa. Iniciou como voluntário e avançou por funções operacionais de investigação, incluindo combate, prevenção, administração e liderança de grandes emergências. Atuou em incêndios de grande escala na Califórnia e no Havaí. É graduado em Ciências do Fogo, especialista em resiliência comunitária e cooperação interinstitucional. O segundo palestrante, o senhor Daniel Berland, é atual chefe do Corpo de Bombeiros da Califórnia. Nomeado em 2023, lidera estratégias de comunicação, legislação, mitigação de incêndios florestais. Iniciou sua carreira no Cal Fire em 2001, tendo atuado como porta-voz principal em cargos de liderança na prevenção de incêndios. Berland é responsável por políticas estaduais de segurança contra incêndios, código de construções resilientes e programas de preparação comunitária. Seu trabalho fortalece a resposta integrada entre agências e contribui significativamente para a segurança pública e a redução de incêndios na Califórnia.
Senhoras e senhores, vamos receber com muito carinho os nossos palestrantes, Nathan Berkeley e Daniel Berland.
Actually, there's a... Bom dia, good morning everybody. My name is Chief Daniel Berlant. I'm joined by Chief Nathan Berkeley, and it is an absolute honor to be here with you in Brazil. Let me start off a little bit with an explanation of California and our wildfire conditions. California is a dry Mediterranean climate. It naturally lends itself to wildfires well before European civilization of our state. But really, with a complex confluence of issues, our state has continued to see an intensity of wildfires with significant destruction and impact on our state. Our population growth in our state has continued to grow. More people have moved to wildfire-prone areas. Our climate has changed. We have hotter days. The summer is, on average, 3 months longer. In fact, it is pretty normal now in California for us to experience wildfires all 12 months of the year. And then you add people recreating and living in wildfire-prone areas, and we have more fires that are sparked by the activity of people. And so this confluence of issues all at the same time, the climate, the population growth, population activity, as well as tree mortality and other natural challenges, have really led to, like I said, an increase in fire severity. A little bit about our department. CAL FIRE is the state's fire department. So we protect 1/3 of the state that you'll see in this next image.
we are a state fire department. There are municipal fire departments in our cities, and then there is a federal U.S. Forest Service agency. And so in this image, you can see the jurisdictions. The green is the federal responsibility, the red is our CAL FIRE responsibility, and the gray is local. But regardless of whose jurisdiction the fire starts at, we all work together at the local, state, and federal level.
All right, well, welcome everybody. Like Chief Berlant said, my name is Nathan Barkley, Assistant Deputy Director of CAL FIRE Operations. And I do want to take the time to say thank you so much to Mato Grosso for having us today. It's an incredible honor to be in front of all of you to present and show the wildfire crisis in California, but also relate it to you here in Mato Grosso and to the rest of the world as we're all experiencing wildfire challenges throughout the globe. So appreciate the time that you're taking to listen to us. And I'm going to dive into a little bit of what CAL FIRE operations are. We'll talk about the fire siege that happened just 6 months ago in Los Angeles, California. But then we're going to cycle into our fire prevention, fire resiliency efforts that we're taking on in California to prevent the ignition from ever happening. So a quick overview of CAL FIRE. If you've seen it on the news, if you have, bear with me because you probably know all about it. But if you haven't, here's just some of our aircraft. We have 13 currently operational Sikorsky S-70I Blackhawks. These carry 1,000 gallons, U.S. gallons, fly about 200 knots. They are winch capable or hoist rescue capable, and they are night vision, and they operate through the night as well. So we do water drops through the night. So that is our rotary wing. Again, we have 13 in service right now. We have backup UH-1H Huey still in service, but those are getting phased out, with another 3 coming back online. So we'll have a total of 16 in the coming years. Our new addition to the CAL FIRE aviation fleet is our C-130H models. We acquired these from our Coast Guard counterparts in California. They are a fixed tank. We acquired 7 of them. We have 2 now operational in the state. Our second one just came online just a few months ago. A third one is coming on as well in the coming months, with the rest to continue to convert. So again, this is what we would consider our large air tanker or our VLATs. We also utilize contract aircraft as well, not just rotary wing, but we use contract fixed wing as well, and that's where you see the DC-10s and occasionally a 747 in the United States. So again, our newest addition, we're incredibly pleased with the performance of them, and we're incredibly happy to have them. Moving down the line to our smaller air tankers. This is our Grumman S2T, a turboprop air tanker. It holds 1,200 gallons. We have 23 of these strategically placed throughout the state. We've had these for quite a while. They're very effective for initial attack, hitting the fire quick while it's small. So again, S2Ts, that's what we've been running for many, many years. And right here on the other side is our OV-10 Bronco. We have 19 air attacks. So what is the purpose of that? As you see it doesn't have a tank. It's not dropping water. So what do we do with it? Well, that is our aerial supervision, because as we talk about in January, we have multiple aircraft in a very tight area. Somebody has to manage that to keep those aircraft, pilots and crews safe. So that is a primary mission of our air attack. They're high elevation, and they're basically the airspace manager, if you will, for those going incidents. Now, before I move on, I do want to talk about how we strategically locate these throughout the state. Our mission in CAL FIRE with our aviation program is to have a water dropping capable aircraft, whether it be rotary or fixed wing, on a fire within 10 minutes. So if you picture again what we had on the state of California, anywhere in the state, predominantly, we can have an aircraft. Now, you'll hear me talk about, and Chief Berlant talk about today, we can't do it alone. This is just CAL FIRE's, but again, we utilize private aircraft. We utilize aircraft from our federal partners. And regardless of where the fire starts in California, regardless of whose jurisdiction, it's the closest resource. So our aircraft may be on federal fires. They may be on local fires, but it's very important that we train together and have a common operating picture So when we do respond to each other's incidents, we can handle them appropriately. Moving down our operational ranks, our CAL FIRE bulldozers, we have 60 bulldozers, again, strategically placed throughout the state. We use a Caterpillar D5N now we have in service. Again, we have 60 of them around the state. Predominantly to cut line, we do use them when we're not fighting fire for vegetation management as well. And then moving over to my left, your right, are our CAL FIRE hand crews. We have 236 funded hand crews throughout the state. And what is a hand crew for CAL FIRE? Predominantly, these hand crews have 20 personnel. They don't have any water. They have chainsaws and hand tools. And their mission is to go out during fires and remove that fuel away from the fire line. So again, we have 236 funded crews throughout the state. They're an incredible asset to us. Again, strategically placed throughout the state. None of these resources are bunched together. They're all through the state. So, and I do want to point out, again, the theory of we can't, or the adage, we can't do it alone. We do partner with other state agencies in California, the California Department of Corrections, the 3 Cs, the California Conservation Corps, the California Military Department, and then we do have CAL FIRE firefighter crews as well to make up that 236. So again, collaborative efforts across state agencies to make these happen. And then we'll say the bread and butter of CAL FIRE's fleet, our CAL FIRE Type 3 fire engine. We have 356 fire engines, again, strategically placed around the state. These engines predominantly are for wildland fire. However, we do respond and assist our local cooperators on all risk calls, as well as I'm sure some of you have seen on the news. But these are our state-funded fire engines. And the goal that we have here, again, you're here strategically located. Back in the early 1900s, as our department evolved, they made a plan. And as they looked at where do we place fire engines, and much like we've seen from Portugal and those response times, we strategically placed fire stations to where if 2 engines left at one time to go to a fire, that we would meet in the middle within 30 minutes, essentially giving us most of the time a 30-minute response time to any vegetation fire throughout the state on state responsibility land. Cooperative relationships. In my previous job, I did oversee our cooperative fire protection. I will tell you again, we can't do it alone on so many aspects of what we do on our daily jobs. You'll see this picture right here with the Forest Service. Behind it, you'll see a local government engine. Again, no matter where the fire is in California, no matter whose land it is, we are all trained to the same standard. We use the same frequencies. We utilize the incident command system as a unified platform and operational structure. And we respond to all fires as quickly as possible. The goal of CAL FIRE is to keep 95% of our fires at 10 acres or less, and we're meeting that through history. So even better some years. But we can't do it alone. Again, this is a multi-response operation that we have every day. We'll talk a little bit, start getting into the 2025 fires that happened in LA. Again, to the same adage, we can't do it alone. We had multiple states come assist us in January. Canada, Mexico, Israel came as well internationally to come assist us, which is incredibly important for us to get that assistance. Again, we can't do it alone. Not only did the other states come and their forest agencies came, their local government fire departments came as well. And you'll see a picture right over there of our friends from British Columbia. The other thing with cooperative agreements that we have throughout the state, we have multiple agreements with local jurisdictions and federal jurisdictions that allow us to create that training standard. So it's incredibly important as we have that initial quick attack, again, that we're all talking the same language, we're on the same communication platform, and we're running the same operational lingo, if you will. The other piece to CAL FIRE is we have local agreements and partners throughout cities and counties in California where CAL FIRE is their all-risk fire department. So it adds more CAL FIRE personnel to surge into large incidents. All right. One of our programs is wildfire intelligence. So this has been evolving through the past few years as technology's involved. But I'll say we've been doing fire intelligence for quite a while. And what I mean by that is we use fuels management. So for many decades, we've been collecting fuel moisture data, soil moisture data, weather patterns for many, many decades. And what we do with that is we ingest it, and we find those times of peak fire areas and peak fire threats. That allows us as a tool, a prediction tool for fire behavior. So operationally, we can move our resources throughout the state. We can bolster up to be prepared for wildfires as well. That's just one piece of the intelligence that we use. It is a multi-jurisdictional collaboration with the California Office of Emergency Services, private entities, CAL FIRE, all in one room to collaborate and bring that technology in. Now, we've moved past just collecting fuel moisture and soil moisture into a world of technology with AI. And I don't know if you have heard, but we have 1,200 cameras, again, strategically placed throughout the state of California in high fire threat areas that have artificial intelligence embedded in them. And what that does, as the camera spins on a 360-degree view, it analyzes the sky. And when it notices smoke or a heat signature, it stops. And then it will send a signal back to the closest of our 21 emergency command centers throughout the state. And this is where the human interaction comes in. We have to validate it. So there's a 911 dispatcher, emergency dispatcher in there that gets that notification from the AI camera. They validate the smoke signature, and then we'll dispatch immediately off of that. Again, it gets us a quick response in some of the more remote areas of California. And with AI, our artificial intelligence, it's continuing to learn. So as we teach it that it is correct, these cameras have become very, very smart and valuable for our initial attack and detection. A new thing for us as well, we've used products from our California Military Department. You'll see a couple of them a little bit later for many years for hotspot detection, perimeter protection, which has been a great asset. Now, we're moving into low Earth orbit satellites. What that gives us is when we have the first one up just a few months ago, we'll have 2 more coming within the next 9 months with a total of, I believe, 9 at full build. But what that gives us, again, is point ignition detection coupled with the AI cameras to validate each other. It'll give us live fire perimeter mapping and intelligence, real-time intelligence at full build. So again, not just a tool that we use in our offices and not just a tool for intelligence. The goal with this is to get it to the frontline personnel where it matters most. To the firefighters on the front line, to the incident commanders running the incident, to give that common operating picture and a real-time analysis of the incident that they have at hand. All right. As Chief Berlant said, and I know everybody in this room, with my 26 years of firefighting experience from the field up, I can attest to you, and I'm sure many of you have experienced if you've been around for the past few years, that our fires globally have become bigger and more destructive. And again, I'm here to tell you, I've been on almost all of these fires since 2002, which is pretty much all of them. For us in California, to go through a career to say you were on one of these fires was normal. Now for our generation, for you to not be on any of these fires is not normal. But that is a cause for concern if we're right. And I'm sure many of you on the front lines are seeing the fire behavior is worse. It's burning hotter. Our fire years, right? We don't even use fire season, but there are fire years now that we're having destructive and deadly wildfires. On the next graph, you'll see the 2025 Eaton and Palisades fire that I'm sure most of you saw on the news. I do want to point out, if you look at the dates, it's January. There's others, September, December, but you won't see January on there. Because in that part of the state, in most of California, before what we called normal, was our peak winter, our rainy season, our ignitions were lower, our fires were smaller. Not 6 months ago. The region had gone through many, many months of drought conditions, leading us up to that. And I do want to point out, while not the largest, they're definitely the most destructive that we've had in California history, taking 30 lives. Just a little bit of lay of the land, and I know a lot of you, as I've had the opportunity to talk to you the past couple days, we talk a lot about the Eaton and the Palisades in Los Angeles County, and that was widely publicized. However, what we didn't talk about were the other multiple fires that occurred within Los Angeles and Southern California geographically during those two fires. And what I tell you is, while these were happening, we were very successful at extinguishing most of these other fires when they were small. Again, that's strategically using the intelligence and strategically placing our resources throughout Southern California and not just in one location helped us with that as well. And we'll get more into that. So to set the stage for January, again, it was January. Our predictive services had what we call a red flag alert: dry, hot, windy days, dry vegetation. Again, sending signals to us as leadership, to all the way to our folks in the field, that Southern California is being prepared to have a significant fire hazard. So with that, we mobilized CAL FIRE resources, our local government resources, federal resources to Southern California, knowing we still have to protect the rest of the state. However, again, using that intelligence that we've built for many years, we surged multiple resources to the Southern California area, and not in one place. Using some of the technology that we have and the data that we've had, they were strategically located throughout Los Angeles and Southern California in those high fire danger areas. So we were very prepared. Not only fire engines, we had aircraft moved as well. So again, this was a National Weather Service advisement to us of the predicted winds. This wind in Southern California typically happens in our fall. It's called the Santa Ana wind. If you'll see here, though, this wind was historic that they were predicting. You'll see 100 miles an hour was the prediction in most of Southern California, which is 160 kilometers sustained. I don't know about you, but that is a hurricane force wind. And now we have dry conditions, we have dry fuels, and we have a recipe for prime fires. So again, with that, we mobilized not just CAL FIRE, these are CAL FIRE statistics, but we worked with our California Office of Emergency Service partners, our local government partners, and our federal partners to surge multiple engines to Southern California. We do utilize that information as well to put on staffing patterns. Again, we're only so big, so we staff up. As the engines go south, we'll bring firefighters back in from home to staff to cover their stations behind them. But also it allows us to surge should we get more incidents. Now remember, the fire situation in Southern California is widespread. None of us can predict where the ignition is going to happen, so we have to be ready. Just a quick stats of the CAL FIRE resources that were pre-positioned. I've talked about that in the counties that we surged into. Again, bolstered with our local government cooperators and partners and our federal partners. We had hundreds and hundreds of fire engines pre-positioned in Southern California ready for this event. Not just that, we had 40 air tactical planes strategically located as well. And with those, and I forgot to mention, we do have an intelligence plane, two in California, that gives us real-time mapping and real-time video images. And we have UASs as well that we'll utilize. So again, we had 10 of our 23 S2T air tankers, our 1 C-130 that was online then, and 9 of our helicopters on top of private and federal aircraft that we utilize every day as well. This is a product we get from our California Military Department. Again, a quick synopsis. You'll have the Palisades down on your left, the Eaton up on the right, and then you've got the Hughes and a few other fires that are starting. Rapid progression as the ignition happened. As you saw in the news, or you're seeing now, it burned straight to the ocean. 100-mile-an-hour winds, gusts over 100 mile an hour, 160 kilometers, sustained of 80. There was a lot of force with dry conditions. Again, a recipe for disaster. Now, again, the coordination of California, we're very proud utilizing these, the ICS system, the incident command system, together and having that common operating platform. As the orders come into one center, we're able to mobilize resources rapidly. So within the first 16 hours, there was 313 fire engines on scene of those fires within 16 hours. That's over 1,200 firefighters within 16 hours of the first ignition of the first fire. Again, that was for all the fires. This isn't just the Palisades or Eaton as well. So we're fighting multiple fires throughout Southern California. 62 of our hand crews, 30 bulldozers. Again, not just CAL FIRE bulldozers or hand crews. It's a multitude of private and federal partners as well. Aircraft response, 14 fixed wing, 40 helicopters, and multiple UAS with our air attack platforms overhead as well. And then we have our specialized resources. CAL FIRE has 6 incident management teams. They're all hazard, 65 personnel, all hazard, fully trained incident management teams, not just for wildland fires, for any emergency that could happen, floods, hurricanes, earthquakes. These teams are specialized to handle not only the biggest but the most complex incidents that we've ever had. And they have been deployed to Maui and multiple other places, Hurricane Katrina notably as well. We also had damage inspection teams pre-positioned mobilized. As we knew that we were losing structures, it's important for us to analyze and get that data from the burned structures as well. So we've painted the picture. Terrible conditions, dry fuels, we've got multiple fires happening. We've got engines still responding, we've got fire crews still responding, we're still attacking the fires that are happening, but we have to be ready for the next one because the conditions aren't getting any better. They're not predicted to get better for multiple days. So we start fluxing. Again, we start moving those resources from the southern part or the northern part of the state to the south. We're talking about hundreds and thousands of firefighters coming into one area that aren't assigned yet, but there's more coming. So we did something a little bit unique, and we started what we would know as a staging area or a MOB center. So we set up a MOB center to start processing these fire engines, the assistance coming from out of state, internationally. Right, we have a lot of people that we have to logistically support, but we also have to be ready to mobilize them at a moment's notice as well. So we opened our MOB center, and you'll see the height, and you'll notice the graph goes up and down. Each one of those days it goes down was a new start within the Southern California area, whether it be from San Diego to Los Angeles, multiple hours away, but they were prepared. And again, these resources, as they checked in, if you will, were sent back out into strategic locations throughout Southern California to respond to new ignitions. So again, we have multiple fires on our hands, we've lost lives, we've lost structures, but the threat is not gone. And that's how we prepared. At peak, again, this is a picture just outside of Malibu. A burn right to the Pacific Ocean, to the water. At peak, 57,000 acres were burned, 23,000 hectares, 16,000 structures were destroyed, homes burned, businesses burned, multiple people displaced. Unfortunately, we had 30 fatalities and lives lost in this fire siege. 1,200 plus fire engines, again, not just CAL FIRE, federal, private fire engines, together to combat this scenario. 12,000 firefighting personnel deployed, 12,000. Now, I'll argue these fires weren't the biggest that we've ever had in California, probably not the biggest that you've had either. However, the complexities because of the multiple structures and the multiple fires happening throughout the state and throughout Southern California we had to bring those resources in and be prepared. 872,000 gallons, and if my math is correct, that's 3.3 million liters of water delivered. 339,000 gallons of retardant, and again, if my math is correct, 1.2 million liters of fire retardant. And our damage inspectors, again, as we assess those communities for loss or damage, 29,000 plus inspections that these inspectors did. And not only do we look for the loss or the damage, but we analyze the structures that didn't burn. We analyze what their building style, what the building components were, and why did that structure not burn? What was successful about that that we can learn from? So there's things already coming out of the ashes as we have our DINS inspectors doing this. We have good things coming out. We have good analysis and we have good data coming that will help us move into the future for our building standards. Now let this, we'll see if it plays. To give a little bit of an overview, and there's usually something happening here, but it's not. Again, fire operations just for the Palisades, 44 helicopters throughout the Palisades. Again, we had multiple aircraft, but 100 mile an hour, 160 kilometer wind, it's tough to fly. Not only is it tough to fly, but delivery of retardant and water is not so good because it will blow away. So once the conditions got better, our aircraft went up immediately. They were flying at night. They were flying 24 hours a day to contain these fires. Again, numerous fixed wing, 44 helicopters just on the Palisades. As a major feat in a small airspace for those air attacks to manage. For the Eaton fire, again, to the right, 16 helicopters, numerous air tankers, and aircraft on that one as well. So you'll see some hot spots, and then you'll start seeing the aircraft coming in and flying. And while that's playing, I want to say this, and you've heard me say this multiple times, we can't do it alone. We are incredibly grateful for being here with you today to learn from you as well, to learn from our partners globally on the effects of wildfire around the world. And what can we learn? What can we learn on the operations side? More importantly, what can we learn and what can we do together on the prevention side? Because if we think about it, for all the firefighters and all of us in the room, if we can prevent the ignition, we prevent that from ever happening. If we can prevent and make our communities more resilient, our forests more thinned and more healthy, these large destructive wildfires are less damaging should the ignition happen. So again, as that plays, we cannot do this alone. We all need each other's help. And quite honestly, we need all of our citizens' help as well. It's not something that we are going to combat by ourselves with the fire service internationally. It's going to take our community involvement as well. And with that, I'll turn it to Chief Berlant.
You know, it's really important to note really quick here that the LA fires were not forest fires. These were not vegetation-fed fires. These were fires that started right on the outer edge of urbanized communities, very dense cities and neighborhoods, and burned into the neighborhoods. With those Santa Ana winds, embers traveled well over a mile, would rain down into the neighborhoods, igniting the homes on fire. One home would catch on fire, and then it would spread through flammable pathways, wooden fences, the brush that they had planted around those homes. And so one home after another, until it was tens of thousands of homes damaged or destroyed. And so our problem in California is not just about forest fires. Our problem is about what we call conflagration, when fires get into cities and they become structure fires, not really wildfires, but thousands of structure fires all at the same time. The problem of our crisis in California is overwhelming. Over 60,000 structures, homes, and buildings have been destroyed in just the last decade. So our problem in California really is as forest fires or wildfires burn into communities and do massive destruction. But we've really worked to kind of take a step back, bring all of the agencies together at the different levels, local, municipal, our state partners, our federal partners, the U.S. Forest Service and others, our tribal partners. California has a very large indigenous or tribal presence across the state, many of which have used fire and managed fire well before European civilization. I'll talk about some of our return back to their teachings. But we've assembled across all levels of government and other organizations and come up with a strategy. We call it our California Wildfire and Forest Resilience Strategy. It's not just CAL FIRE, it's not just the state of California's, it is all of ours within all levels of government. And we identified 4 main goals with 99 key actions. And this plan really focuses on 3 core areas. First is fire suppression, response. Nate showed a number of the fire equipment that we have at CAL FIRE. We are very proud of our firefighters, over 12,000 men and women firefighters all across the state. We're very proud of our helicopters, our fire engines, and all of the equipment. But we're not going to respond our way out of our crisis. We have to look at preparing our communities and addressing our forests as well. And so that leads us to the next 2 core areas of our strategy. Community preparedness, and I'm going to talk more about that here in a minute. How we build our homes, how we maintain our homes is a critical step. And then lastly, forest management. A good portion of our state is forested land. And much of it is overgrown because of drought and bark beetle. Much of it has succumbed to pests and other drought-related diseases, and we have over 100 million trees in our forests that are dead, all of which then become fuel for a wildfire and just continue this wildfire cycle. So again, 3 core areas: response, community preparedness, and forest management. On the left here, we started a number of years ago in mapping our entire state, providing homeowners and residents with the level of hazard that exists in their communities. And based on these hazard levels, we then have a specialized building code to ensure that new homes built in those areas are built out of materials that are more resilient or that are able to withstand embers and wildfires. It's not fireproof, but it gives them a higher chance of surviving wildfires. In wildfire-prone areas as well, we have requirements of removing dead or dying brush, vegetation, and plants. 100 feet around a home, or about 30 meters, we require nothing dead around a home, and homeowners must maintain that throughout the year. And of course, we have grasses and other vegetation that normally would die off in the summer months, and so we require our homeowners and our residents to remove that dead or dying vegetation. Community participation has been critical for us. It's one thing for us at the government to say, do these things. It's one thing for us to have rules and laws and ordinances, but we've really worked to mobilize our residents as part of the solution. We have established across the nation, but really focused in California, to create what are known as fire-wise communities. These are neighborhood-level organizations where the neighbors get together and they create a plan within their own neighborhood. Not being told what to do, they voluntarily create these groups. And so these fire-wise communities are really vital in everything that we do. But as we continue to have structures be destroyed, again, the LA fires, 18,000 homes and buildings were destroyed in just a couple days. 60,000 in the last decade. And so in our crisis, we have to figure out, how do we stop homes from being destroyed? You can see some of the pictures on the left. we've done a significant amount of testing. This is a demonstration that we've done. In fact, these are some QR codes you can scan that show the home hardening, as we call it, the armor around a home that we require. But it's done through testing. The last picture here is a brand new home, and you can see there are no plants right up against it. So we are working towards a new rule in wildfire-prone areas that you can't have anything combustible within a 5-foot, or I think, again, my translation's not as good, 1.5 meters. No vegetation, no plants, anything that catch on fire. And that's going to be very difficult as we continue to transition this new requirement. These photos show some of the testing that we've done. We've done extensive laboratory experiments that help us inform our requirements. The photo on your left, we'll start here. You can see this home has been built 2 ways. One with wood siding, combustible materials that can catch on fire. You can see it has bark and mulch. It has plants right up against the home. But this other side of the home is built to our wildfire standards, our building standards. You can see there are still plants, but they are 1.5 meters away from the home. There is no bark or mulch right up against the home. There's rock right next to it. And so in this experiment, they throw embers in the laboratory with giant fans that are pushing these embers, thousands and thousands of embers fanned by the wind on this home itself. And you can see in this photo, this home catches on fire on the left-hand side. Again, the one that's built out of combustible materials. This is the end of the experiment. The home on your left, it caught on fire. The home that is built to our standard that did not have vegetation right up to it is still standing. So we've done lots of these experiments to really help us provide science behind how we build homes. If you want to learn more, there's this QR code here, and there's some great information and a video. Couldn't get the video to play today, but it's very telling. Because it's one thing for us to lecture about it, it's one thing for us to put it into a rule book or onto a law, but once residents can see the difference that these home standards make, it helps really change their opinions about how we build and retrofit, because that is our problem. While we've had these codes in California for almost 15 years, 90% of the homes in wildfire-prone areas were built before the code. And so our challenge is how do we bring those codes up to this same standard and make them hardened against wildfires. As I mentioned, we have a task force. Local, municipal, state, federal, tribal, nonprofit organizations. And one of the things we have worked hard to do is to assemble all of the wildfire resiliency projects that we have focused on and put them in one place so that at all levels of government and residents in every community can see where we have done fire prevention work. I'm going to show some photos in a little bit when I say fire prevention work. Fuel reduction, removing the hazardous vegetation, creating fire lines before the fire, using prescribed fire or cultural burning to naturally remove some of that vegetation, creating defensible space right around the homes. But this dashboard that we've created has added transparency so that our residents can see where the money in fire prevention is going and where the projects are located. Not just for our residents, but also for our firefighters. We've worked to put in the maps of where all of our fuel breaks and these fuel reduction work is occurring, putting it into the computer systems in our fire engines so that our firefighters can access where these pre-established fire prevention work has been done. So we've been doing, in the last several years, we've really ramped up to treat more of California, whether it be using mechanical equipment to remove that vegetation, whether it be prescribed fire. We've ramped up to try to do more and more. You're going to hear from some of my colleagues from Florida in a little bit, and many states have done a lot more in this space. In California, we are really just beginning our journey into introducing fire and really ensuring that our landscape is managed in a more effectively and efficient way. But as we've spent millions of dollars and significant resources in this effort, it was very important to us to be transparent, to show how are those fuel breaks, the fuel reduction work, the prescribed fire, how is it really being effective during fires itself? And so we've built a system that every time a fire hits one of our fuel reduction projects or one of our prescribed fires, it alerts us, and we'll send a firefighter out, and they'll go out and assess to see how well did that fuel break work. And so we've added that into what we call our fuels treatment effectiveness reporting, being transparent. In just the first 6 months or so of us having this dashboard that's available to the public, we reported that there were over 50 fuel projects that had a positive effect, meaning that it aided firefighters, whether it meant we could stop the fire at that line, whether it meant we could help evacuate residents. Good. Okay. This dashboard, though, you can, if you want to, there's a QR code right there on the left, and you can see our fuels effectiveness reporting system. So the third, as I mentioned, centerpiece or focus of our strategy is on forest management. Most of the forest in California is owned by the federal government, not by the state of California. So we have to work with our federal partners to ensure that we have a shared vision on how we're going to restore the forest. Because if a fire happens on the forest, it likely will burn off the forest into our communities. And so we can't work in silos. We have to work together. And so we work very hard to do projects together. For decades and decades in California, because of our population, we have over almost 40 million people that live in California. And what's unique in California to potentially here in Brazil is most of our population lives in wildfire-prone areas. We've built neighborhoods and communities in areas where wildfires would naturally happen. And so it's been very, for decades now, our focus to just put a fire out as quickly as we can to save homes. And we continue to do that. But what has occurred is decades of the vegetation growing and getting thicker and becoming unnatural. And then again, it adds to the intensity of our wildfires. And so we've worked very hard to reintroduce prescribed fire, managed fire under the right prescription, under the right conditions. Now, we have a lot of challenges doing this because, as I mentioned, we have such a populous state. Whenever we do a prescribed fire, that little bit of smoke, while much less than a wildfire, very much angers the population. Our Californians don't want any smoke. We've worked very hard over the decades to address our emissions and to create blue skies and clean air in California. And so when Californians see this little bit of smoke from a prescribed fire, they immediately are concerned about the air quality. And so that challenges us in our efforts in prescribed fire. But lastly, the thing I want to mention is we've worked very hard with our our indigenous tribes in California. There are dozens and dozens of tribes in California who have used wildfire for millennia. And we are really leaning on them to help us reintroduce cultural burning as part of our overall strategy. So, as I wrap up here, I just reiterate that our strategy in California is focused on three things: response and technology, community preparedness, and forest management. And as Nate said several times, doing that together in partnership at all levels of government and with our community as well. Not just us at the Fire and Forestry Department, but all Californians working together.
It's great. I'll end it as well, just by a simple thank you again. And it may be a simple thank you, but we are incredibly honored to be here in front of you to share our experiences, but again, to also listen to the experiences throughout the globe, what is happening in Mato Grosso, to take that home as well. So again, thank you so much for having us, and enjoy the rest of your conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agradecemos aí aos palestrantes Nathan Berkeley e Daniel Berlan por compartilhar seu conhecimento e contribuir com o fortalecimento da gestão de incêndios florestais. Em nome do Corpo de Bombeiros Militar do Estado de Mato Grosso, os convidamos a receber uma lembrança como forma de reconhecimento e agradecimento pela participação. Para tanto, eu convido para fazer a entrega, senhor Coronel Bombeiro Militar do Estado do Pará, Pablo Cruz de Oliveira. Informamos que dentro de instantes iniciaremos a próxima palestra. Peço ao público presente que não dispersem, que dentro de instantes iniciaremos a próxima palestra. Aí, pessoal que chegou agora para essa palestra, nossa informação a respeito do espaço florestal. É sempre bom lembrar que ontem muita gente perdeu a premiação, perdeu os brindes, né? Foi sorteado lá e não levou. Então hoje, para que não aconteça isso, o pessoal não pode perder o nosso momento de descontração, o nosso momento de confraternização no espaço florestal montado com muito carinho para todos os senhores e as senhoras, tá? Esse é o nosso momento de relaxamento, de descontração, com muita comida boa. Nós teremos lá o Instituto Mato Grossense de Carnes, a melhor carne do Brasil, o melhor churrasco do Brasil e, é claro, o melhor chopp bem gelado da cervejaria Louvada. Então, a partir das 18 horas, no momento florestal, né, no espaço florestal, perdão, teremos esse momento de descontração e ali vai estar acontecendo já no seu segundo dia o primeiro encontro dos combatentes florestais do Brasil. É para os senhores terem aí uma provinha do que acontece nesta noite ali no nosso Happy Hour. Tem um vídeo aí para poder os senhores ficarem com água na boca. E aí, deu água na boca? Essa é só uma provinha do que teremos logo mais a partir das 18 horas no nosso espaço florestal, acontecendo lá o primeiro encontro de combatentes florestais do Brasil. Ambiente gostoso, de descontração. A galera ontem que participou, hoje com certeza vai indicar e vai participar. Aquele chopinho gelado, churrasco, quem é que não gosta, né? Então, já anote aí, não perca hoje, lembrando que teremos lá também, né? Vocês podem conhecer um pouquinho mais da história dos combatentes florestais, os teoremas, a oração do combatente florestal. É um momento de bate-papo, de troca de experiências, de descontração. A partir das 18 horas, no Espaço Florestal, nós teremos o nosso segundo dia de Happy Hour. Senhoras e senhores, conforme a programação, vamos continuando então com a próxima palestra, intitulada Gestão de Incêndios Florestais na Irlanda. Lições de uma pequena ilha, que será ministrada pelo senhor Ciarán Nugent, gestor regional do Serviço Florestal Irlandês. E convidamos neste momento para ser o moderador desta palestra o coronel bombeiro militar Maxi Oliveira Menezes, do CBM Sergipe.
Bom dia, senhoras e senhores. Bom dia especial aos combatentes florestais. O senhor Ciarán, engenheiro florestal com mestrado em engenharia florestal e diploma em SIG, atua como inspetor regional no Serviço Florestal da Irlanda desde o ano 2000, especialista em manejo do fogo, lidera o desenvolvimento de políticas de queima prescrita e sistemas de perigo de incêndio florestal no país, vice-presidente da IAWF, possui ampla atuação internacional em projetos da FAO, WMO e Comissão Europeia, além de ser instrutor involuntário em operações de combate, busca e salvamento.
Senhoras e senhores, o nosso palestrante, com a palavra o senhor Kirian Nugent.
I've got a secret I should tell. I've got a secret I should tell. My body's warring with itself.
Okay, can you hear me? How to follow California and Portugal and Brazil and Mato Grosso, the scale with large-scale fire countries, large-scale fire resources. This is my challenge now, with something maybe a little different. I have some lessons from the Irish experience that we've had. We've been dealing with fire for a long time in forestry, but in the last 20 years, and certainly in the last 10 years, we begin to see much more active fire behavior, much more challenging fire experiences, much more challenging fire behavior. And the experience that I have, I'm going to try and capture that here with you. It's a different scale to what you've just heard in some of the other presentations. It's a different space. The physical space that we live and work in is very, very different to what the previous speakers have shown. We're not a Mediterranean country. Okay. We're not a Mediterranean country. We're in the North Atlantic. And the fires and the fire experience that we have reflects our landscape. It reflects the scale of our country and the scale of the population and the resources that we have to protect that population in the different services and to protect our landscapes. On the left, you see a large-scale fire from 2017 that burned 3,500 hectares of forest, and it caused a lot of difficulties. And we've seen these large-scale fire events at different points in the last 10 years. We're seeing them more frequently. These were things that until 2010 and 2011 we didn't really see in our landscapes. In May 2011, we had a really catastrophic fire event that affected Northern Ireland and the northwest part of our country, much more, really with civil protection impacts on local communities. We had houses burned, just like California. We had a number of houses burned for the first time in our landscapes and in our communities. And the fire services had a huge challenge dealing with a large-scale catastrophic fire of almost 20,000 hectares in one of our landscapes. So there's lots of different factors involved, and again, related to the scale of where we are. And these large-scale fires pose an increasing challenge for our services. And how to deal with those, that's the real challenge. How do we start to deal with problems like this in a country that's not used to natural hazards risks in this way? That's the challenge. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a forester and a forest engineer. My main work is on our National Forest Roads program. I run our National Forest Roads system. We build about 100 kilometers of new forest roads every year, and these are used for timber production in our National Forest system and also for fire protection themselves. They have an important role for forest access for protection. In my spare time, I'm a civil defense volunteer with the Irish Civil Defence Organisation in Kerry. I live in the southwest of Ireland in County Kerry, and I operate ambulances. I'm a volunteer auxiliary firefighter, and we work on flood protection we work on medical response for Event, and we work on severe weather responses, responding to things like snow, storm damage, severe weather impacts like this, again, in our communities. Currently, I'm the Vice President of the International Association of Wildland Fire, which is very strange. For somebody coming from my background and where I'm from, to work in this space is not normal. But again, a voluntary system, and the purpose of the International Association of Wildland Fire is to create a focal point for the global wildfire community, to create hubs and networks and systems for knowledge exchange and the development of our knowledge in firefighting, fire management, and to develop that in the places where it's needed and to assist that. So that's an international association. There are members in many, many different countries, and the objective, I suppose, is to create exchange and opportunities for exchange of knowledge between the members. I'm also a parent, and it's great to see children in the audience with us today. And I think when you come to a place like Mato Grosso, at the scale, the place, the special place that you're working in here, to think about children is important, to think about the next generations and what we're going to leave, what we're going to hand on to our children. This is becoming a bigger concern for me. What will we leave? When our children ask us, Daddy, what did you do? What will we tell them? So that's part of my motivation to come here. And it's a really great privilege for me to come to Mato Grosso, to Brazil, my first time to visit Brazil, my first time to visit South America, and to see the fire ecosystem that you have here in this room represented is amazing. And to see what you're doing for these spaces and for your children here, this is a real privilege for me. Lastly, I'm a wildland firefighter. I've trained in the modern techniques of wildland fire management. I've had opportunities to train in Spain, in the United States, and to learn from people in countries who work with fire on a daily basis, who work, we've just seen it in California, who work in those types of spaces, in Portugal, in those types of environments, in Spain, people who deal with large fires professionally. And I'm here before you now. I'm simply a product of exchange and a product of facilitated experiences and knowledge exchange and training with people in those spaces. But I believe in this whole role and culture of the wildland firefighter. That drive to develop and the drive to progress what we're doing. I'll tell you a little bit about where I live. Ireland is a small country. I think we're about 80 square kilometers or something in the North Atlantic beside the UK. We're not part of the UK. We're part of the European Union. And our climate and our system, our environment is shaped and influenced and really dominated by the North Atlantic. It's the weather, the atmospheric systems in the North Atlantic, and the ocean currents of the North Atlantic give us a unique environment to grow things, a unique environment to produce food, as you do here in Mato Grosso. I don't think our numbers of cows are going to impress you, but we have a lot of cows. We have more cows and more sheep than people. We have 5.38 million people in Ireland, including lots of Brazilian people living with us. But we have more cows and sheep in our landscapes. It's one of the least populated areas in Europe. We have one of the lowest population densities, and particularly in the west coast and the mountain areas of Ireland where we have our fire problems, the population is very small. And this is important because in those places, because the population is small, our fire services and the response systems we have, they reflect the size of the population. They're also small. It's the second safest country in the world, but if you see our national sport, hurling, this is why we're second and not first. So it's a traditional Irish game. We played with a stick and a ball, and you hope that the stick hits the ball and not yourself. But this is a traditional Irish game. We are a very old country, and we have a long history of people in our landscapes, and we have a long history of people and cattle and farming in our landscapes, and that's part of our fire story. I think it's a little similar to here. We value our food production, we value our farming, and it's a very, very important part of our rural economy, our national economy, and our identity. This is a landscape near where I live. I live in Tralee in County Kerry in southwest Ireland, and as you can see, it's a very green country. We have a reputation for being a very green country. This is due to the rain, the Atlantic. It's a mild climate. As I said, it's a safe country. We don't have, as in New Zealand, earthquakes. We don't have volcanoes. We don't have other forms of natural disasters like this. The weather is usually mild. We do get severe storms every few years, but generally it's a very mild and benign place. It's very green. You can see the forests. These are forest plantations. Ireland was once heavily forested 10,000 years ago and 5,000 years ago. And the first settlers came to Ireland and they cleared the forest. They began the process of clearance of our forests to create the landscape you see today. I think they used fire for some of this. And today, part of our job in the Irish Forest Service is the restoration of forests into our landscapes, to restore our native forests and to restore and to create a forest industry, to create production of wood and creation of resources to build and to work an economy with. In the mountains above is where our fires mostly happen. And I'll talk you through this in a moment. But this type of landscape is separated. We have lots of mountain areas and lowland areas. The mountains and some peat bogs, some of these lower areas, are where the fire activity mostly happens. And within this landscape, there's lots of changes. In the recent years, lots of changes in demographics, like in Portugal, of rural people. They're getting older, the numbers of farmers are getting fewer, and the landscape is changing. So to just recap, our fire weather really comes from the direction of our air masses, our pressure systems over Europe. Easterly high pressure brings airflows from the continent. They're dry, they're cold winds. Most of our fires happen in early spring, in February, March, and April, and we have late spring fires in May that are more severe, more high intensity. But the humidity value gets influenced by where the wind comes from. If the pressure system is to the west of Ireland, there's more humidity and there's more potential for fire in it. You can see the brown places on this map. I live here, by the way, but the brown spaces on the map are the mountain areas. In the middle of the country, there are also bogs, peat areas that are organic soil. They're very deep organic soil, and they also can have fire. There's lots of fire problems on those this year. There's some paradoxes in our fire regime in that the wettest places in Ireland are the places that see the most fires. And again, at the scale that we're at, the fires present in an episodic way. We don't have a constant fire every week. It comes and it goes. In a year, we might have 3 weeks of good fire weather where we see lots of fire activity. We may see just 1 week with fire activity, and some years we see no fire potential because of the wet weather. Last year is an example of this. So just to explain some of our landscapes again, in the southwest, this is near a town called Killarney. It's a very famous tourist area. You can see the types of landscape that we have. And this is a typical winter situation. Everything you see here is flammable. All of this vegetation is flashy, fine fuel, grasses, ferns, and ulex shrub, Kaluna shrub that support fire and can change with weather very, very quickly and produce fast-moving fires over very large areas. We have very large areas of this in some places. And the potential of this area, of this type of land, to carry fires and to create large-scale fire in a very short space of time, that's a real problem for us. And again, to go back to the size of resources, that we saw in places like Portugal and California. We don't have this. We have the local fire brigade and what is available to them in our forestry system, what's available to us in forestry. Sorry, I'll get my... Yeah. In the summer, these landscapes change completely. About 2 weeks ago, our landscapes changed fully from being dead and flammable to being lush and green. The summer vegetation has come in again. And this growth, the growth that happens in our landscapes in the summer is extraordinary. We can grow trees in Ireland 3 times faster than most other places in Europe. It's a perfect growing environment. And this vegetation will grow again this summer. The fuels management, what happens in these spaces with farming, what happens in these spaces with the vegetation management is more and more important. And we see fires again in this landscape. The type of fires, the type of fire behavior, including some of the behavior of the firefighters, I would not stand there, but this is where we are. I think you can see that these landscapes can produce very difficult fire conditions. And again, you see the equipment. This photograph was taken a few years ago. The firefighters are wearing classic urban structural equipment. They have classic urban structural fire training and doctrines, and they're responding to a different situation. They have to adapt to this wildland situation for a short period, and that's a challenge for the services. What's also a challenge is the scale that we can see with some of these fires. This particular fire I was a fire analyst for was 1,600 hectares, and this happened in less than 24 hours. We were able to cover most of the area burned within the first 12 hours of this fire starting. And it covered a lot of area of a national park, highly protected area, Natura 2000 designated area, and created a lot of difficulties. And again, the same park is burning again 10 years later. This was during the COVID pandemic. And you can see again the type of fuels, the type of scenario, also the type of terrain. This is very, very difficult for urban fire services to access in these situations. With a small number of personnel, no road access, it's very, very difficult to intervene and to combat fires like this in mountain areas. So that is a problematic for us. And in the last few years, we've seen a lot of different types of fires. Fast-moving fires. This particular fire was a fast-moving fire that turned into a peat fire that was very difficult, an underground peat fire that was very difficult to extinguish. It just happened to be beside an explosives factory as well. It didn't help. So a lot of stress, a lot of difficulty in suppressing this fire, and a lot of cooperation between different landowners to produce a solution to flood an area with lots and lots of tankers of water. Very, very difficult. So peat fires, underground peat fires, are a real concern. And as we see more frequent droughts in Ireland, we're seeing potential for these types of fires and massive carbon emissions from these types of fires being a real difficulty. We see more fires associated with recreation in forest areas also, where before fires were, like in Portugal, associated with farmers burning, we're now seeing less burning by farmers, more burning by the general public in recreational classic forest fire situations, campfires and barbecues. And most important and most disturbing of all is the arrival of wildland-urban interface fires to Ireland. This is a whole new space for our fire services to work with, and for us in forestry to try and work out how to deal with this. The fire on the right was in Dublin. This was 3 years ago in a very, very affluent suburb of Dublin, and this almost destroyed some houses, and they had fuel right up to the back door. They had dangerous Ulex vegetation right to the back door. The concept of Firewise hasn't arrived with us yet. We have a lot of work to do for that. And in 2011, we saw these catastrophic fires in northwest Ireland that caused a lot of difficulties. We had homes lost, 4 homes destroyed, and we had to call the Irish Defence Forces to assist the local fire brigade to extinguish the fire over a protracted period. And there was a lot of difficulties, a lot of political issues after this. And we learned from it. So what have we learned? And what do we bring from this? What can I bring from all of this experience in a very small space to a conference like this in a very large space with a very large entities, large fire organizations, large fire resources? Our fires are similar. The mechanism of fires is broadly the same. They're a little smaller than in some of your countries and your situation. Certainly they're smaller. But fire works to the same principles, I think, in every setting. Fire for us as a new country represents as a wicked problem. It's a set of difficulties that when you try to address one strand of the problem, you just find more strands of more problems. So it becomes more and more difficult to resolve. I think the picture with the wires, which is the correct wire to pull? How do you reorganize this? I don't know. So we have to find something. We have to find a strand of a solution. And wildfire in Ireland is transient. Unlike the southern European countries, we don't have this problem every year. We don't have this problem at the scale. It's not such a threat to communities that we have to have a full-time fire service, full-time wildland fire resources. So we don't have those things. We have to adapt the systems. We have to adapt the structures that we have to meet this challenge. And because it's got a lot of different stakeholders involved, some parts of fire management in Ireland are highly contentious. They're disputed and contested. It makes it more complicated. So we can't solve, there's no silver bullet, there's no one solution for this. We have to solve lots of different things together. We need a toolbox of solutions rather than one single tool, okay? That's what we've been trying. We start from this position. And again, you can't solve a wicked problem. You have to have mitigation. You can only mitigate, you can only try to reduce the issue, but you can never really fully solve it. And the types of management that we bring to these issues, usually with fire, it's a top-down, it's authoritative management. That doesn't always work for some of these problems because we have wider stakeholders to deal with. We have to collaborate with people rather than order them around or to persuade them to do this. And adaptive management becomes more important. And in it, the leadership, the position of leadership, the requirements for leadership in this space are quite difficult. I think for ordinary systems to adapt to this, it's quite different. In countries that have adapted, I think in Spain and so on, when we started to look at this, we started to see radical solutions, radical approaches to thinking around fire, particularly from Catalonia in Spain, from this region where they have a huge fire problem, huge land use problems, just like we have, and where people have started to think differently, started to think and broaden the viewpoint of how to view not just fire, but also landscapes and communities living within those spaces. And this was very, certainly for myself and some colleagues, this was very, very influential to see and hear this and actually to go and experience it and see it and immerse in it. And to try and change the culture. So we need to find one strand. If we do the wrong things, we can make the problem worse. We have to find the right things to do. It's very difficult. What is the right thing to do? And there's a risk, and we saw this in 2000, where we have a knee-jerk reaction to some fire issues, and they decided to reduce the amount of time available for us to do prescribed burning in Ireland. That was reduced by 6 weeks. That means that our prescribed burning is even more difficult now as a knee-jerk reaction at a time when people didn't have a full knowledge of how fire works. In 2010, the Food and Agriculture Organization released the voluntary fire management guidance for countries new to fire, for countries in developing countries usually that are new to fire problems. And they also released a position paper designed for the Middle East, for countries like Tunisia, Algeria, Lebanon, hot countries, Middle Eastern countries. We're not a hot country or a Middle Eastern country, but the principles laid out in this position paper fit almost exactly our requirements as a starting point, to give us a lead into the problem, to give us some immediate things that we can do and immediate solutions that we can apply these two documents were extremely important to us to break into the problem and also to learn, to start the process of learning about fire and creating workable fire policies in our space. And again, for the last few years, our main objective has been to learn more about fire, to learn about fire in our fire regime, in our landscapes, and the particular issues and the capacity that's needed for those, and to develop the culture of wildfire management, to develop a culture of landscape management to deal with our fire issues. And that has been working for us. The key issues for us are the support systems to adapt our existing fire services to wildfire when it's needed, to make sure that knowledge and the supporting systems are there for fire officers and for fire crews responding to these fires at the scale that they exist. It's a very small fire service. We only have 3,500 firefighters in all of Ireland, and 1,200 of those are in the cities away from this problem. So within this then, we need a proper policy network, a policy framework that relates to integrated fire management. The FAO have just updated the voluntary fire guidance to reflect integrated fire management, modern takes on this, and that's worked. And particularly to manage landscapes and the stakeholders in those landscapes. These are key areas. As I say, a lot of fire traditionally or recently in Ireland, a lot of fire issues have been contested with different stakeholders. We need to have indicators of success also. For us, in dealing with this, the exchange has been exchange and knowledge exchange, training exchange has been essential. Our ability to go to countries with full-time fire systems has been critical. This was in 2014. Jordi is here in the audience. Jordi was our instructor. I'm with firefighters from Wales and Northern Ireland on an exchange in Catalonia to learn, to see what happens in the south of Europe and to start to think about how we apply that in our environment, in our landscapes, in Northern Europe. There are two types of exchanges. We have mechanisms in Europe for formal exchange. We have a European Forest Fire Expert Group, which is nation to nation within the European Union mechanisms. We have an exchange of experts program for formal training exchanges for fire services. And we have a peer review for policy. If you want to have a policy reviewed, we have a peer review system in Europe that we can adapt, that we can apply to have our proposed policies or proposed systems reviewed by experts from other countries. And we have now the Global Fire Management Hub was launched last week in Rome. There's another hub, another available space. And we have the European Forest Institute Forest Risk Facility also, which has become more important for us. At an informal level, we have NGOs like Pau Costa Foundation. We have wildfire forums. There are wildfire forums in the United Kingdom that we've been able to see and observe and learn from. And also the International Association of Wildland Fire, the conferences, the systems and the workshops run by IAWF have been really important for us to develop, and particularly to facilitate exchange with US colleagues across the Atlantic. We have very close links in Ireland with the United States, with Canada, also Australia. We have a lot of exchange, a lot of Irish people have emigrated to these countries. IAWF has a mentoring program. I've experienced that, which is very, very useful. And the TREX facility, the ability to go to other countries and immerse in TREX has been really, really important. And this experiential exchange, it does more than pass on knowledge. It helps to build networks. It helps to build lasting, resilient networks of experts who can go on interacting, go on exchanging, and go on learning together long after the actual exchange operation has finished. And this is really essential for capacity building. This was in Wales. You can see from the jackets, we have people from Portugal, Spain, Ireland, England, Germany, all learning together, all freezing together in this mountain, but also learning and adapting different approaches to similar landscapes that we have. It's important within agencies, it's really important. The other thing that we've done in Ireland in the last few years is to leverage. We have a very small available service in our forestry and fire services. It's very small. To leverage technology as a force multiplier. This has been really important for us. And we've done that. We've also developed some tools of our own in the last few years. But initially and currently, we're still using tools that have been developed for the wider European space and adapting those again. That adaptation part is really important. Many of these tools, you can't simply just interpret, yeah, we have no fire risk. We have to look at the specific elements that relate to our environment, our weather, our vegetation, and adapt. So we don't use a fire weather index on its own. We use sub-indices, the fine fuel moisture code, and the initial spread index element of fire weather index. In the photograph below, we've established with our National Weather Service, we've established a soil moisture monitoring network that gives us intelligence on drought, on soil effects, and particularly effects of drought in peatland to tell us what our soils are doing and how the fire risk is going to be affected. And we've been using available satellite technology for fire detection, but predominantly for after analysis, for long-term analysis of trends, for long-term analysis of burned area. This satellite technology is more and more important for us. And leveraging our air support. We have air support available from our contract services, private aviation companies. They're usually flying golfers up and down Ireland for tourism. These companies provide the firefighting helicopters to us. The same helicopters that are flying golfers can translate to being firefighting helicopters in a matter of hours and be available to us when we need it. And some of the things that we're interested in, the mapping of fuels. We saw this in Portugal earlier on, how important that is. We have projects now working in this space on the fuels. What we haven't seen to date is the role of the unmanned aerial systems. We have a lot more work to do with that. There's a lot of potential there for us as an entity. A really important part for us has been the use of the lessons learned review mechanism. It's one of the most powerful tools that we've had access to use and to learn from following large-scale fire events. And in 2017 and 2018, after 2 catastrophic fire years, we applied lessons learned review techniques to see what worked, what did not work, and what we needed to change in the following fire seasons based on our experiences in those years. And we conducted those formally, interagency meetings and discussions, open discussions, and we applied the lessons learned review process. And the results from this are straight away, we had a zigzag of years. We had a lot of different experiences, a lot of variability in our experiences. And following the lessons learned review techniques in 2017 and 2018, you can see that the fire activity becomes more constant. It becomes more steady state. And we learned a lot. We learned a lot about communications between agencies, communications by radio. We had a lot of improvements to do with our radio communications networks that we were able to identify, and also the need for fuels management in the high-risk areas. This started to become more apparent with the lessons learned processes. And this aerial firefighting improvement, the military support, the availability of that, and the mechanisms to activate military support, that became really it. And we saw this sustained for a while. The burned area is starting to creep up again. It's probably time for another lessons learned review to see what is causing that. And again, to come back to the fuels, we have to learn about vegetation management, fuels management. It's critical. We can't control the weather. We can't control the various ignitions. Most of our fires are lit by people accidentally, deliberately, traditionally, but we can't control that fully. So fuels management is unglamorous. It's expensive. It's also farming, and it doesn't get the same attention. It doesn't get the same political attention as aerial firefighting or new fire trucks, but it's just as important. And we understand the importance of fuels. And in our situation, with the scale that we're working with, the scale of resources, it's more and more important for us. And we learned this, we see this working in Southern Europe. Our prescribed fire season is highly constrained by legislation from previous decisions and also by our weather. So we have to find other ways of doing this. And we've focused on farming. We have a lot of schemes to support our farmers in our landscapes, to make sure that we have a sustained farming system in our landscapes, and to make sure that this continues. And we have our acres scheme currently is 1.5 billion euros per year is being spent to support upland and remote extensive farming in these areas to keep people and to keep farming viable and to keep the vegetation management. And part of this project also includes a high resolution fuels mapping element, so that in time to come we will have the maps similar to Portugal of our fuels, how we are going to manage those. That becomes more apparent. I want to go back to this picture because we have something that's become apparent to me in the last year or two, is that people retire, they pass away, they pass on, they leave, they go to other jobs, and the need for us to build resilient systems, not heroes. You can have a good fire leader, a good fire officer, a good team, but can you sustain that? Will it be sustained? People have left, and we've seen the performance affected by this. So we need to plan for resilience. We need to plan for sustained approaches, sustained teams, and sustained systems that can support good performance out on the land. And the need, I'm really happy to come here and see so many young people in orange in the audience. All of you look young. And I think to see that there's a cycle of people coming and a cycle of people leaving. It's a bit like a parade. I think people in Brazil understand a good parade. There are people nearest the end, and there are people joining the parade at the tail. And that's what we have to sustain and keep the knowledge moving through that parade from the people at the top to the people at the end, to keep that mechanism. And the need for interagency relationships. When your guy retires, that you don't lose the contact you had in the other agency, in the other department. This is happening. I'm running out of time, so I think I'm just there. So I want to say obrigado for the opportunity to come here. I think it's been exceptional. I think it's great. And I think the time that we're here, the time that we're having these conversations, is a really important time for everybody, not just in relation to climate, but the other things that are happening. There's a lot of discord, a lot of fear, disunity, all of these things happening in politics around the world. And we have a different example. I think we have a different vision, an alternative vision to this in our fire community. It's very important. And to come here and be part of this is really, for me, it's a real privilege. And I think fire, it's not just a threat, it's not just a natural disaster, it's a catalyst. It's a catalyst for unity. It's a catalyst for development, for positive development, and for our improvement in the face of these complex challenges. And the challenges are getting more complex, and they will get more complex with climate and all of these other developments. And the solutions that we're finding for fire, even in our small situation, the things we learn when we look at fire, they help us solve other problems in our landscapes, other complex environmental problems, other relationship problems with stakeholders. They help us conquer some of those. So I'm grateful that fire has brought us here together, and that fire has given us this purpose. All of you here has a purpose. We all have a purpose when we deal with fire. And I think that's a gift from fire to us. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful to you for your time here to listen to stories from this very small, it's insignificant compared to what you're dealing with here. So thank you for your time. Thank you. Okay.
Agradecemos então ao palestrante Kieran Nugent por compartilhar seu conhecimento e contribuir com o fortalecimento da gestão de incêndios florestais. Em nome do Corpo de Bombeiros Militares do Estado de Mato Grosso, o convidamos a receber uma lembrança como forma de reconhecimento e agradecimento pela participação. Para tanto, convidamos o senhor Coronel Bombeiro Militar do Sergipe, Coronel Max. Senhoras e senhores, lembramos mais uma vez que a partir das 18 horas teremos lá no Espaço Florestal o nosso segundo dia de Happy Hour. Informamos que agora faremos o nosso intervalo para o almoço. Desejamos a todos uma excelente refeição. Retornaremos impreterivelmente às 14 horas.